Perhaps we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bound. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
Good evening and welcome to Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. We're kicking off a brand new week with all of you here. I'm here. Little Timmy James is over there. Dirty Filth is down here. And you know what? I'm here too. We're waiting for Lon Strickler. He's having some computer problems tonight, but that's okay. We are efforting. Let's just see if we can, if he can hear us. Lon, can you hear us?
I got nothing, Dave. I can't hear a thing.
Yeah, I think he's got Q-tips in. Okay. Lon, I can't talk to him. Send me your phone number. All right, there we go. I always lose Lon's phone number. So let's say hello to all of you. And starting off with the race fan in the gold medal position. Tim Mothman in his goatee with the silver. Simon the Likeable with a bronze medal tonight. Hi, Chris 716, Robert Lamoth, Kitty Caddywhack. Good to see you all. The beautiful Vancouver Islander, Deidre, is here. Deidre will be signing autographs after the show. Line up to the left of the studio, if you don't mind. To the left of the studio. Laura Lobbs, how are you? And Eternity Eternal, Brown Dwarf, Lisa Smith, Stephanie Kenny Blankenship, Dragonfly, nice to have you all here. Trucker Andrew, good to see you, my man. Hope you're doing well. Mel WD40 is here, currently lubing us up for tonight's show, because you always want to go into a show nice and smooth. You do not want that rigidness to try and, make things a little bit uncomfortable. It never works very well, trust me. Okay, moving on here. We have T-Bone, my man. How are you? Thanks for joining us. Okay. Next, we have Human Carl, a great veteran of the United States Air Force. Thank you for your service, Human Carl. And who else is next? S for Met. And Philip Backanuts. Little Cam over on Twitch. He bench pressed 865 pounds today, 14 times in a matter of 90 seconds to warm up for tonight's show. Dude is jacked tonight. Absolutely jacked. Okay, 1 second here. Gonna call you. Hold on, I'm gonna call little Lon Strickler here. And let's see if this works. 1 4. And that number is right there. And then 59. There we go. All right. See if little Lon Strickler answers his phone.
Hey, Dave.
Hi, Lon. How are you?
Yeah, that's a funny question.
Okay, so I'm going to turn my phone down. Okay, and then that way you can hear the questions and answer through the microphone.
Okay.
That work? You hear me?
I guess.
Okay? I don't know what's with your headphones, but we got a minute to go here. Millennium, my man, how are you? Hi, Pam Harris. Operation Shutdown and Bombshell Bomber, nice to see you. All right. Next will be J Truth Seeker. W. David Page is here. W. David Page will be signing autographs after the show as well. Line up to the right of the studio, if you don't mind, to the right of the studio. Linda, welcome to SOR Chat. And Cryptid Search, welcome to SOR Chat. El Garay over on Twitch, he did 1,500 pounds in leg lifts tonight. Just his calves. Okay. Hello and welcome to the radio and podcast side of Spaced Out Radio. Tonight, Lon Strickler is here with Strange Days as we continue on with the big show tonight. I hope you have a lot of fun with us. We are in roll call right now. Hi, purple-haired Pixie Lara. Doc from Wyoming, the lovely and talented Kira. Nice to see you all. Digger Dog again. Terrence Willis, Fapster. What's happening? And who else do we have here? Road Flare. Nice to see you. And continuing on. Well, we say hello to Troy SR71 and W. Decker. Thank you, Area 53, for kicking off the super chat tonight. It's a wonderful way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis. So thank you very, very much. And do me a favor, everybody, throw those horns up. Let's rock. From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out, Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out ours as well. You can follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting Chive Charities today. You can find them on our website. We got a very fun show for you tonight. Our good friend Lon Strickler is here with another night of Phantoms and Monsters here on Strange Days. Then in hour number 3, the Swamp Dweller has another spooky story for us. And a lot of UFO news coming out this week early already. Tim James will be here for the UFO report. All right, each and every month, we end the final week with Lon Strickler from phantomsandmonsters.com. Lon is a Fortean researcher who has written many books and novels in regards to all things weird and strange. He has thousands of reports brought into him each and every month of strange creatures that lead to new investigations, not only in North America, but around the world. Based out of Pennsylvania, Lon is also most famous for his study of the Chicago Mothman, where he takes a look at all of these weird, strange sightings of this human-like, bird-like creature. Lon Strickler, it's always a pleasure to have you on Spaced Out Radio, my friend. How are you tonight?
I hope you can hear me.
I got you. I hope you can hear me. We're having a few
I can hear you. I'm on the phone, but it's going to be a little difficult, but we'll get through it.
We will get through it. We will make it happen because that's what professionals like us do. Is we make it happen. How you been, buddy?
It's been busy. It's just been a lot going on, with the show being released at the end of July, and all the calls and everything coming in. So it's been crazy.
Yeah, you're on the new Unsolved Mysteries.
Yes, I am.
What was that like? How'd that pan out?
It did well. I mean, we got a lot of good feedback on it, and I was happy with it. I thought it went well. I mean, we didn't get a chance to look at it before the before it was released. We kind of saw it when everybody else did, but we were pretty happy with it.
What did they bring you on for? Not that I'm saying that insultingly, but what were they bringing you on for? What were you chatting about?
What's that again?
What were you chatting about?
Oh, we were just talking about cases, and apparently you didn't see it, right?
I'm in Canada. We're always about 3 months behind.
Oh, okay. Well, no, it's basically it started out with, all the cases we have been investigating throughout the Chicagoland area. And they highlighted a few cases with the witnesses, and I think it was about 4 or 5 of them. And we had myself and Tobias coming in and discussing and answering questions from the from the people who were doing the interviews. But quite frankly, I thought it went pretty well. It was we kind of went through everything in a nutshell. I guess you can't do but so much in a 45-50-minute show. But for the people who saw it, I think they were pretty satisfied with it.
That's awesome, buddy. It's always good to see you on TV. You know what? It's funny because I was sitting at home the other night listening to Lou Elizondo and Frank Milburn on another radio show, and I'm sitting there with my partner, and I'm like, I know these guys. This is kind of cool. Or when I see somebody like yourself on TV, I'm like, I know that guy. He's my friend. That's my friend right there, everybody. He knows Dave Scott. I want his autograph, and you can have my autograph for knowing him.
Yeah, it was pretty good. I've been on TV before, but I tell you, the level of excellence, let's put it that way, as compared to what I've been on before, this was just high. This was high caliber. And it took a lot more work. We had to do a lot of editing and a lot of after camera work and everything. But it was all worth it. At least we got the word out there. People kind of have an idea now what's been going on in and around Chicago for the past 13 years now. So and we had a couple call-ins afterwards, and I know Unsolved Mysteries is getting some of the cases sent to them. So we're going to get those and look into those as well. So yeah, we've been pretty busy.
Be honest. You showed a little leg in those television shows, didn't you? You showed a little leg up to the kneecap. Really stretched it out.
No, it was just kind of chest level up. They just got a headshot the whole way through, my head talking.
Oh, I'm sure they got your sexy legs in there somewhere. Guaranteed. Oh, my friend. You love chasing the monsters. Let's always, get an update from you on the Chicago Mothman and the potential sightings, what's going on there. Is there anything new on that story?
Yeah, we, after there was, the show was actually presented, I got a couple of phone calls, and, I actually, the one interesting phone call that I got was from a MUFON field investigator who was contacted back in March of 2022 about an actual flying being caught on a Dashcam. And I talked to him about it. He sent me the MUFON report that he submitted to them and all the information about the witnesses. But quite frankly, and I did send you the link to it. I got some screenshots out of it, but I do have the video up as well on the website. But this was up in Florence County, Wisconsin, which is actually just right by Lake Superior. So it's further north than most of our sightings have been. But I believe it was an actual flying being. Now, I don't know what it was. It was pretty good size. I mean, the people who took the video, they were commenting about it as they were driving. that they were looking at it and videotaping it as they were going, recording it as they were driving. But it did have considerable size to it. And the funny thing about it was, just like a lot of the sightings that we reported, throughout all these sightings and everything, was these things, it seemed to glitch in and out in the video, just like what people were telling us. Now, I don't know if it was the video quality, but it was interesting because it seemed like it was going in and out. Now, I don't think it was a sandhill crane or any other bird that's known to inhabit the area. In fact, the MUFON investigator and I talked about it, and he said the same thing. He thought it was a bird-like or a flying creature, but he said it didn't look anything like anything he'd ever seen before. So, so maybe we have one of these things on camera now. I don't know.
And I apologize, I think you said you have the film on the website. Have you had time to sit down and study that film to see if it looks like something like the Mothman that people have been reporting?
Not really. I looked at it, and Tobias looked at it. It's hard to tell what it is. It's got some size to it. The way it was flying, it was flying like an actual natural being of some type. But it was glitching in and out. It was hard to really get a definition of what it looked like. Like I said, I got a few screenshots and on the site. As far as making the determination as to what it actually was, I just can't do that at this point.
How many sightings total have there been in the last dozen years?
We're at 171 sightings. I mean, sightings we believe are legitimate sightings.
Right. And out of those 179 sightings, how many of them have been close encounters?
I'd say about 25% of them.
Wow.
Which is pretty high. I mean, it's under all different circumstances, but there were people who were up close and personal with this thing on several occasions. So these witnesses did get a pretty good look at it for the most part.
You never know when this thing is going to come out and play. That's always a difficult part in doing what you do, is there's no predictability to it. So you are really relying on others to supply the stories. The people who have encountered this, has there been anybody who has seen it multiple times?
Yes, it has been. Been a couple people actually. I had a report back in April of this year of an individual who lived west of the city who's seen it 3 times within a year and a half. And in fact, I don't know if I mentioned it to you the last time I was on with you, but this guy literally, he emptied his 44 at this thing, and he said it didn't even phase it. So I don't know what he was shooting at, but this thing did hit his truck. It hit his truck as it came up off the road and left a dent in the truck. So it was a corporeal being of some type, but it freaked him out. I mean, it's, the way he described it like everybody else did, like a gargoyle-like being with the bat wings. But this thing was, this third final time that he had the encounter with it, it was literally dive bombing at him, and he got scared, and he took his pistol out and unloaded it at it. And he swears he thinks he hit it, but it didn't phase it at all.
Excuse me. It just seems like with a lot of these cryptid creatures, we could shoot them with guns, we can hit them with BBs, we could do almost anything to them, but nothing ever seems to phase them. You hear old stories about people allegedly killing Bigfoot or killing a dogman or something along those lines, but there's never any physical proof, because if you kill it, you're going to have a body.
Right.
But for the majority of that, it just seems that for the most part, nobody ever claims when they shoot this thing, nobody ever claims that they are taking the body, and they are never claiming that this thing dies. It doesn't seem to die. It doesn't matter what it is.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, of course, we don't have a body yet. Don't have a body of really anything. And are these beings are supernatural? Well, I believe they are supernatural, but I think they're also corporeal as well. So as far as what we're doing with these winged humanoids, I mean, I think they are flesh and blood, but there's a lot of supernatural aspects to them that we just don't understand.
Yeah, and it's funny because I was doing a podcast earlier today with legendary UFO writer Preston Dennett and his lovely lady Dolly Saffron. And I was asked that same question about Bigfoot by our resident listener T-Bone, who's a really good dude and real big supporter of my show. And he asked, "What do I think Bigfoot is?" And I think after all the research I've done now, and I'm not a researcher, I'm an enthusiast, but I think after everything that I've done, I think the only safe answer is I don't know.
Right.
I mean, we hear stories of these creatures going after livestock, chickens, hogs, cattle, deer, and other type of animals. But on the flip side, we hear stories of them vanishing or mind speak or anything along those lines, Lon.
Right.
And I agree with you. I think it's a mixture of supernatural and corporeal.
Yeah, I think it is as well. I mean, we just really haven't been able to explain it at all. But yeah, I think you're right.
Well, you know what? It's something that we'll have to continue the investigation as we speak from Lon Strickler. Phantomsandmonsters.com is his website. Lon, you always get intriguing stories at phantomsandmonsters.com. And every month you get hundreds, if not a couple thousand, cases of people talking about strange inhabitants or creatures they have run into. I know I've asked you this before, but for our listeners who may be tuning in for the first time, is there a letter or a story that over the years or even recently that just jumps out at you that you wish you had the ability to actually see what happened?
Jeez. Yeah, that's a hard one. To pinpoint it, I don't know. I sent you something. I sent you something today with this with the sighting that Doug Highcheck had actually sent to me about 3 or 4 years ago. And he just recently acknowledged it, but he had a winged humanoid encounter, he and his wife, up in Minnesota. And I was on his show a couple of weeks ago, and we talked about it again on there. But yeah, I mean, he had a very harrowing experience. He literally almost crashed his sports car because this thing dive bombed his car. So yeah, I mean, and that's something very similar that people have talked to us about before, about these creatures having, literally dropping out of the sky like they were going to run into the car and kind of almost running the driver off the road. So, why they do it, what's the reason behind it? I don't know. I guess they want people to see it, but, to go that drastic, I don't know why they do it.
I know one guy around my area, he had a Sasquatch encounter back in the 80s. He was about 18 years old and literally watched a Sasquatch come out of the ditch, and the Sasquatch slammed his hand on the top of the edge where the glass windshield he hits the upper frame right by the driver's side door. I mean, I could just imagine. And his girlfriend, he was driving one of the old early 80s Camaros with, where you could literally crawl under the dashboard and have a sleep. He was in one of those, she was in one of those when this happened. She refused to get out from under there until she was back home.
Yeah, well, it's interesting some of the stories or accounts you get from the witnesses, but of course, I've had my own encounters, so I kind of understand what they go through, and why a lot of people are so hesitant about coming forward for the most part. But yeah, every once in a while we'll get a real doozy, and yeah.
4 minutes to go before we got to go to break at the bottom of the hour. Lon Strickler is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. Lon, what makes a good encounter?
Well, I guess having to have trust in the actual witness himself, for one thing. Determining if what they're telling you is true, and if they're not trying to embellish on it. And to me, that's one of the biggest things. I mean, sure, I like to get a good story. I like to get a good sighting, something very unusual. We all do. But we also want to get an account that's truthful, that we don't feel like we're being used somehow. But yeah, I mean, if we get an account from somebody, that goes into great detail and doesn't change their story and continues to insist on what they initially told you was what they actually saw or encountered, yeah, that's the ultimate right there.
Do you ever look at these stories and say, I can't tie this to anything that has been seen out there?
It happens occasionally. Yeah, it happens occasionally. I mean, this whole Mothman thing in Chicago is a perfect example. Who'd have thought that something like this would have showed up in an urban area, even though many of them have been in suburbs and stuff. But, it isn't like the actual original Mothman sightings at Point Pleasant. It's something much different in a way. And in a way it's not, it's a winged humanoid. It's some type of being that, we just don't understand. So, yeah, you just never know what you're going to get. And, for the most part, I try to be as forthcoming as I can with folks. And when I actually post it, I try to give my readers, the best description, or the description that is actually coming from the witness without tampering with it. I try to be as truthful as I possibly can. And I don't like to embellish on it either. I don't expect them to embellish it with me. So, sure, people are going to question what I post at a lot of points, but it is what it is. And, if you don't believe it, that's your prerogative. But I'm going to give you what I got.
You are someone who, if somebody goes to phantomsandmonsters.com, so we got about a minute to go. You are someone who, you do your homework, you do your research, but you are allowing people to believe what they want to believe. You're just presenting the letter and the facts that are given to you. Why do you do it that way? Why do you leave so much to the reader's discretion?
I don't think most readers want me to interject for the most part as to what I believe it is. Sure, I'm going to make some comments at some point. And if I think I know what it is, or if I got some background on the location or the area or the type of creature or being that people are describing, I am going to make a note of it. I do that a lot with other paranormal encounters that people have, where I have had a lot of experience with helping people, and I will go into detail. And eventually, if it's a long case, if it's something more detailed and more involved, and something I've got to work on, if I do an RV on it or do an actual investigation, then it's going to take time, but I will eventually get it out there with all the information I can supply.
Lon Strickler's Strange Days continues when we return. And when we come back, going to hit him up on this great story about aliens, humanoid encounters, lost time, lingering pain. We'll get to it when we return on Spaced Out Radio. You doing okay there, Lon?
Yeah. Am I sound okay?
You sound beautiful.
Okay.
Beautiful. I wish you would sing to me, though. Come on, give me a little Pavarotti.
Yeah, I guess my headphones finally blew up on me.
Are they battery-operated ones?
No,
Try unplugging them.
I already did it. I already did that.
Yeah?
Let me see. I got some headphones. I got some other headphones here. Let's see if that'll work.
Hi, Lavender Winds. How you doing? Resonate, welcome back. Who else has joined us here? There is a cryptid group similar to MUFON. It's called the BFRO. It's strictly for Bigfoot, but I don't recommend anybody sends anything there. Gamer Quest, how you doing? Alice in Winterland, how you doing? Dutch Hank, thank you for joining us and for being Dutch. What are you laughing at, Tim? All right. Do 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 do. You know what I've been on the kick on lately? Listening to Andre Rieu.
Really?
Yeah. His symphonic music is amazing. Love Andre Rieu. He speaks like 7 languages too. Yeah. Oh, let's see here. We got 2 minutes.
Yeah, it's not my headphones either. There's something wrong with the system.
Sounds like your system has a bad case of gout.
I don't know what it is. I'm gonna have to figure it out.
Well, we'll get through tonight, big guy.
Yeah.
I better put some eye drops in. My eyes are burning right now.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Where did I put my glasses? I can't find them. Oh, there we go. You don't listen to Andre Rieu?
I have.
Yeah.
I just don't. Yeah, I don't have. He's not on my playlist.
Oh God. I actually don't hate me for this, but I actually watched the Taylor Swift Eras tour on YouTube.
Oh, okay. Cool.
I would love to have seen that live.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know her music.
No.
Okay. But just the crowd and the energy.
So cool.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's an event. Hi, Kevin Kennedy. How are you? Dirty Filth. You're very dirty tonight. Thank you to W. Decker, Area 53, and T-Bone for the amazing super chats. It's a wonderful way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis. So thank you very, very much. And we got 10 seconds left. More like 30 seconds left. Thanks, Dave. Oh, my voice is just shattered right now. It's shattered right now. Shattered. I can't stand the Rolling Stones. I can't. I know a bunch of people out there love the Rolling Stones. Not me. All right, here we go now. Hello and welcome to the second half hour Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. We appreciate you tuning us on in wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Reminder to all of you that if you miss portions of this show or others, you can check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Here we go with Lon Strickler, Strange Days, continuing right now. Lon's website, phantomsandmonsters.com, as we want to say hello to Lon. How you doing, buddy?
Hanging in there, man.
Yep, that's what I love about you, Lon. Never too hot, never too cold. You're a nice, cozy pillow for a night like tonight. Don't ask me where that came from. I cannot repeat it. I have an NDA on that. On your website, you got a brand new story up tonight called Lost Time and Lingering Pain Following Experiencer's Humanoid Encounter. Let's read this for our audience. The incident happened several years ago, but it really stuck with the experiencer just because of how strange it was, an encounter with an unknown humanoid. This incident happened several years ago, as we said. Anyway, I was heading out of my house around 6 in the morning. It was summer, so I took my walks at sunrise to avoid the daytime heat. I'd done this many times and had my walk down to a science. Just my muscle memory could get me through. So, shortly after leaving my home, I'm heading up this road toward the highway. I lived behind a school, so I was very aware of the roads and vehicles, even if I was distracted by something else, which I was. As I walked down this road, I was going through playlists on my MP3 player. Oh, that is an old story if you're dealing with MP3 players. I was almost right on the first intersecting road by the time I found what I wanted to listen to, and I looked up. Everything was normal. There were no cars to be seen, which made sense since it was a Saturday morning. So I continued upward towards the highway where there was a sidewalk. But about 3 intersections from the highway, I noticed a shadow on the school zone sign ahead of me. Figuring it was mine, I just kept walking. I was only 2 intersections away when a disturbing thought hit me. I was walking east. There was no way that that shadow belonged to me. And since there was absolutely no one around, there was no way on earth that that shadow was really a shadow. As if it could read my thoughts in sudden fear, a figure stepped out onto the intersection right behind the school. And the only thing I could figure was that it was a gray alien. It had all the features: spindly limbs, enormous head, gigantic black eyes, and barely a nose, ears, or lips to speak of. As if it could read my thoughts, or pardon me, for anyone else, this would have been a time to panic and run, but my military training kicked in. I didn't know what it was. I didn't know what it wanted, but I knew it had no place this close to my home and close to my children. So I charged at it, hoping at the very least to run it off, or better still, find some way to capture it. Of course, under both those desires, I wanted to kill it. To this day, I don't know why I wanted to kill it. Maybe it was part of my training that it stuck into my brain, or maybe it was because this being was undoubtedly a threat, at least in my mind. I don't think aliens come all the way to our neck of the intergalactic woods just to hide behind signs. Something was going on here. The next thing I know, I'm standing at the intersection. The creature was gone. Naturally, I was confused. The sun was higher than it should have been. And a quick glance back. Where am I here? Sorry. And a quick glance at my MP3 player showed that I'd missed at least 10 songs. By my best guess, I was missing nearly half an hour. Apologize. Now, scared and disoriented, I turned back and walked home. It was already getting hot, and heat stroke was not going to help me sort out everything that had just happened. I haven't told this story to anyone other than my parents and a single friend. We all agree that this was something strange, and that whatever it was, it definitely was not right. Even now, years later, I still wonder what I really saw. Was it really an alien? Did I honestly try to capture and kill an actual extraterrestrial? I apologize. I'm losing my voice here. It's never good in radio when you lose your voice. But we got to continue. Let's see here. I don't have those answers, and that scares me. But one thing, I don't think I got abducted. I don't have the weird dreams. I couldn't find any mysterious marks on anywhere on my body. The only thing that I can't explain is a painful feeling in my upper left arm. It feels like there is something in there, but x-rays haven't shown anything. Could it be that I was tagged by this creature the same way we tag animals for study? Another question I can't answer, and that scares the daylights out of me. This pain has not gone away, but I have become accustomed to it. Maybe one day I'll be able to get better scans of my arm and see if maybe a different machine could see what the x-rays couldn't. Lon, this is typical. Somebody runs into an alien after the alien is stalking the person, and missing time happens.
Yeah, I do get a lot of missing time cases, or stories or accounts that come into me. Occasionally I get a chance to talk to the individual and they want to try to find answers, and we'll go into it a little further. But most of the time, people just want to get it off their chest and let somebody else know what had happened to them, which is what happened in this instance. So they contacted me and asked me to put it out there for somebody else. Now, occasionally somebody will contact me and I'll try to hook them up with somebody else who has a question. And I've done that in the past, but, in case somebody had a similar circumstance that they'd like to talk to this witness or this experiencer. I'm obliged to help people out like that.
What do you think happened to this guy?
Oh, I think he ran into something he just didn't understand, and but I think he may have actually been abducted. Quite frankly, either that or he was put in some type of situation to where he lost consciousness and just didn't really know what was going on. So, most of the time when you have a lost time scenario, it's usually pretty evident that something did happen. Either they took him somewhere, or that he was incapacitated and not conscious for a period of time. But something other than what he realizes actually did happen, I think.
Do you think he's in denial about what happened?
It's possible. It happens. Yeah, I think that's human instinct, that you don't really want to believe something other than what you remember happened to you. Yeah, I think that's very possible. He may very well be in denial.
To me, it just, the way his words were worded to you, it sounds to me that he was in some sort of denial about what happened to him, because he said that he wasn't a believer, in this kind of stuff, but then all of a sudden it happened, and that just goes so many different ways with people who've had those kind of encounters. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I'm not sure about that one. I really am not sure, but hey, at least he came back. I would almost recommend, if that guy is listening to us talking about this, is to go for a regression therapy.
Yeah, that's a little bit easier said than done. It just depends where he's located at. I have recommended people to regression hypnotist or regression therapist on occasion, if I feel it's warranted. Now, if they ask me to try to find somebody, I will try to find them. But normally you're going to have to be near a major city unless you're going to get on a plane and fly somewhere. But it has happened in the past, and in many cases, I think it has helped some people. But quite frankly, I think there are instances where regression could possibly make things even worse. Seriously, I don't know if everybody can handle being told something that especially if it's something they had no idea that could have happened to them. Many times when people go into regression, and I have seen several, they just go into a state that is just so dramatic and so traumatic to them. I don't know if everybody can handle something like that.
Well, let's talk about this. We've never really talked about it with you before. Are you pro or anti regression therapy?
It depends on the situation. If it's an instance where I think the person can't handle it, I won't recommend it. I really won't. And in fact, I will try to talk them out of it. And if they insist on it, well, then, they're on their own. I'm not going to be responsible for somebody going through something like that, then coming back to me and saying, well, you should have stopped me, and this and that. I think many people who do acknowledge that something did happen can handle the truth, or can handle going through a regression. But it's not like it is on TV. I mean, sure, they show a lot of dramatic stuff on TV, but quite frankly, it goes really deeper than that, especially with not necessarily with some type of otherworldly encounter or some type of abduction. I'm talking about where hauntings and such, where people are past lives. A lot of times a past life regression will really hit the person hard. And I have seen it where they literally go into depression because of it. But like I said, overall, I think it depends on the person. I think most regression therapists or hypnotists that do this, they kind of can read the person to tell if they can handle something like that.
I never thought about it that way.
Yeah.
Would you say it would be different going past life regression to say regression about ET contact?
What, you mean if there's a difference?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a difference, of course. I mean, it's I think when you go into a past life regression, you just don't know what to expect. Now, some people are intuitive enough or can kind of reach back that they have an idea that maybe in a past life that's something that they had either dreamt about or had visions about, or something may very well have happened, and they're kind of prepared for it. But on the other hand, something else may come out of that they just don't totally expect at all. And I have seen it affect people dramatically.
Lon Strickler is with us tonight on Spaced Out Radio. When you, excuse me, are dealing with people with lost time or missing time, what have you learned about this incredible subject?
It's like I said, it's hard to tell. I mean, I don't think I've ever been through a lost time scenario. I've been abducted. I'm pretty sure I've been abducted at one point, and we've talked about that. I think I'm pretty well knew what happened to me, but as far as lost time and that mystery of not knowing what happened to them, I think some people just have a problem handling that. And, again, that's why I just don't recommend it, especially if they have been going through a lot of emotional issues as a result of it, and then having it retraced and going back and then finding out what may very well have happened. And then some scenarios coming up that they didn't expect. That can be an issue, I think.
Do you find that missing time is something that is just a play on our minds, that we don't know what happened? Or do you think that it is real, that whatever these creatures are, these non-human intelligences, are taking us and wiping our screen memories?
I don't know what they really do, quite honest with you, but, and I've heard a lot of different things. There's a lot of theories about what they do, but quite frankly, I think, I don't know. That's a tough question. I've heard all kinds of things with people that have gone through something like this, or are totally confused by it. They just want answers. And, I can understand that. Sure. I think if I had gone through something like that and I was being affected by it, in long term, I think I would probably want to find out what happened, especially if it continues to affect me over a long period of time. And I understand that, but, I don't know. It's what they are actually doing. I don't think anybody can really explain it. I think people, they've got an idea what had happened to them, but quite frankly, I don't think they know the whole story. There's people that are out there that consider themselves authorities as far as after an abduction or after several abductions, and think they can kind of tell people what they had gone through as well. But everybody's case is different. Everybody's experience is different. And it's perception too. Everybody's got a different perception of what actually happened. And, I think it's a very individual thing. It's a very private thing. And, I just don't see, I hear a lot of things, but a lot of stuff I hear, I don't see how people actually go through it and keep their sanity for the most part.
Okay, so have you ever had or heard of any situations where cryptids or paranormal activity has caused missing time?
I don't know if you want to call it missing time, I think people blank out for some reason, or just, they just push it out of their mind of something that may have happened, say with a cryptid or a paranormal experience, that their brain just shuts down and doesn't want to recognize it. I think many times people consider that as lost time. But I as actually real lost time, actually going somewhere or being incapacitated for a period of time. I don't know if that's the case in all the time or even most times. I think the human mind has the ability to kind of block a lot of that out. That's why people come back 20, 30 years later and remember things. And that happens a lot.
Yeah, I can see where that would happen a lot. I just don't understand why it's only extraterrestrials doing it if they're all part of the phenomena. I mean,
Yeah.
I wonder about people who have, who vanish and then re-arrive at the same spot that was relocated like 2-3 days later.
Yeah.
They weren't taken by aliens. Maybe they were taken into inner Earth or stepped onto some other dimensional plane and were missing time that way. I'm very curious about your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I think it can very well happen. I don't think it happens as much as people may think it does. I think it's a very rare case. But sure, we've all heard stories about people that have apparently been taken and don't show up for several days, and they're kind of dropped off either close to where they were or some other location. There's a lot of skepticism with cases like that, of course, and I think a lot of times the experiencer doesn't really understand it. And many times they don't even want to talk about it or don't talk about it. But for that rare occasion when somebody does come forward, I just think it's, you got to kind of go with what they're telling you and kind of rely on their perception of what had happened. And, maybe at some point it will come back to them and become more detailed.
We've got about 2.5 minutes to go before we got to go to break at the top of the hour. Lon Strickler from phantomsofmonsters.com is his website. And Lon, as we look at missing time, I'll ask you one more question about this. Do you think that missing time does something to the body? Like this gentleman was saying that for years now, that one certain part in his arm has been painful to him, although x-rays haven't showed any sort of alien mark or implant or anything like that. Just your thoughts on that.
I think there's a possibility that something physical remains. It could also be psychosomatic. The body has their own way of healing, and of course, if it's a psychosomatic type of situation, maybe the pain will linger on, not necessarily physically, but mentally. And
now, when you say that, if you don't mind me cutting you off there for a second,
no, go ahead.
Is that almost what you're saying? Much like people who have body parts amputated, where they get phantom pains.
Yeah,
in the
exactly.
Body that isn't there.
Yeah, exactly.
Interesting. Yep. I never understand how that works. Your ghost foot is itchy or sore.
That is a bizarre phenomenon, isn't it? It really is.
I had a friend of mine. This is going back probably 35 years ago, and she got a college basketball scholarship, and she went up for a jump shot, landed wrong, and broke her foot. Well, they ended up doing surgery and screwed the surgery up. And at 19 years old, she had to have her foot amputated just above the ankle.
Oh.
And she was, I remember her telling me about the phantom pains and the phantom itching and the phantom sores, and, that she would get, like, it would almost feel like, she's walking along on crutches and all of a sudden it feels like she stubs her toe that isn't there, It's ridiculous.
It's funny how the mind will work, because it's all mental, basically. There's nothing physical about it. And yeah, how do you explain that? I guess a doctor would be able to explain it, but quite frankly, it's bizarre.
Totally bizarre. Lon, I'm going to get you to hold on right there, because we are going to go to break here at the top of the hour. Lon Strickler from phantomsandmonsters.com is here for Strange Days. And when we return, more freaky stories from Lon Strickler at phantomsandmonsters.com. Stay tuned, everybody.
This is Spaced Out Radio with host Dave Scott.
All right, Lon, we are clear.
Okay.
Apparently, I'm living on throat lozenges today. So I'll be right back. Okay, bud? We're going to turn it over to Dirty Phil.
Okay.
Get dirty, dirty.
Dave's going to go and have some echinacea tea. Possibly. Hello, everybody. I hope you're enjoying your Monday. I'm in the least favorite part of all my cartoons is the lettering. I'll say it a million times. Anybody does lettering for comics or cartoons or anything, those are a special breed of humans. It's a lot less fun than drawing the actual characters and junk. I can assure you on that. And if anyone's wondering, all the cats have been wrangled. The gargoyle was late to come in the house, so no snacks for him. Alrighty. So anyways, this cartoon is referencing... One second here. This cartoon is referencing the supposed time when UFO shot down, apparently, an Atlas missile over Vandenberg Air Force Base. I'm not sure if it actually happened or not, because, you know. Anyways. So, 32 Squared's telling the Kentucky Goblin was September 15th, 1964. And like absolute Giga Chads, those three gray aliens blasted an Atlas missile out of the sky over Brandenburg Air Force Base. Legends. Look at them just having a martini and a wobbly. I had to change up the name of the Air Force Base because if I ever got sent to court, there's no way I could ever battle an army in court. I don't have like 20,000 Mr. Burns lawyers, so. Anyways. Thanks, Deidre. It looks like a blob when it starts, but then ends up looking pretty good in the end. Gremlins. I have a gremlin right beside me. He's orange and fluffy. He's not very smart, but he's a handsome boy. Good night, Pixie Laura. Scribble, scribble, scribble. There we are. This is actually going to be for the September calendar, so it's a sneak preview. It should be out in, well, before the next year, because you want to know before the year coming up. Yeah, good enough. Yes, Love, that is the gremlin. He's not very smart. I'm giving him good petting for you right now. Yeah, orange cats are interesting. He's a pizza thief. He will steal pizza. He stole a slice of pizza out of Mithil's hands and bolted outside, and she had to go tackle him. Nobody will ever believe it, but it happened. He's out of control. Oh yeah, I heard about Sid Vicious. That's kind of sad. I think they did a thing on Raw today about that. I'll know all about it tomorrow because my pal that I work with is a big wrestling guy. Wrestling. I think Dave knows some wrestling people. Masked Avenger guy or whatever they call him. El Ovni Volador. Maybe he just beat up Dave and Dave's not coming back.
Dave's coming back.
Oh.
Dave's a killer.
So,
He's a mess.
go away. Shoo.
Give him a pot.
Oh. Sounds like Dave's getting beaten up in the corner.
Oh shit! I accidentally hung up on Lon.
Wow.
Lon, I hung up
So,
on you.
wow.
You there?
Yeah, I accidentally hung up on you.
Huh?
I accidentally hung up on you.
Yeah, I saw.
Son of a gun. Thank you tonight to W. Decker, T-Bone, and Deidre for the amazing super chats. Greatly appreciate it. Don't forget you can shop at our Spaced Out Radio store. We do not have ugly swag, people. No ugly swag. So make sure you check that out. If you're late. Corey, how you doing? Oh, it's a nice breeze coming in. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, good night, gentlemen.
Good night, Dirty Filth. And there goes Filthy. He's such a dirty bastard. All right, here comes the second hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott, and I'm the guy who goes chasing monsters, and I hope you like our stories that we bring to you. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Maculamancy. Maculamancy is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Lon Strickler from phantomsandmonsters.com is here as we are talking strange days and the creatures that hop around us, stalk us, and show up when you least expect. Lon, welcome back, my friend.
Good to be here, Dave.
It's good to have you here as well. And Lon, you know, we're going to start with a couple of audience questions right off the bat here. And this one comes from Simon, who is asking, Lon, what's the one question you would like to know the answer to?
Why am I doing what I'm doing? Oh, no, I don't know. I mean, there are so many unknowns in the paranormal, in the unexplained, and the supernatural. You know, I believe maybe one day we'll start getting answers, or we'll start, you know, who knows? But anybody who says they're an expert in the paranormal or cryptids or anything, I mean, you know, that's just not true. Nobody's an expert at this. And we're all asking questions and we're all looking for answers. So that's about the best I can give you.
Do you want to solve anything? Would that make
Sure.
you feel better?
Sure. Yeah, I'd like to solve a few of the cases I've been involved with for a long time. Paranormal cases, I have gotten solutions to them. Many of them took a long time. But as far as cryptid cases, we're not solving anything until, first of all, we find a body or some type of real tangible evidence to explain what we're dealing with. Same with alien beings, UFOs, extraterrestrials. I mean, until we actually have something tangible, we're not going to have answers. We're kind of in limbo. We're given, we had to make answers up to our own devices. We had to figure it out and make theories. We try to do that, try to make it sound reasonable, but it is what it is. So, we just keep hacking at it and see what we can get.
I'm not sure if I want the answers. The chase is so, I believe, trust me, I believe. How can I not believe? I'm sitting here having all of these weird, strange experiences on my own.
Yeah.
I don't need anybody to prove to me or disprove that Sasquatch is real or ghosts or aliens are real. That being said, I don't know if A, we can handle the truth. B, I don't know if we'll ever find out the real truth as to what's going on. And C, I think if they do come out as real, I always think that's a little bit more dangerous, because then when the mainstream public catches on that these are real, then it's going to send every Tom, Dick, and Harry into the forest to try and kill one of these things.
Yeah, you're right. But the one thing is, none of this stuff is ever going to be a moot point. We're always going to have something out there that is going to pique our interest, and we're going to look into it. That's just human nature. We're never going to be satisfied with a few answers.
I know, but I really can't handle the thought of searching for Sasquatch and changing my hobby to macrame or playing bingo.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, people that are, if they do come up with, just say you're someone who's into Bigfoot or Sasquatch, and they do come up with an actual answer. Yeah, you're going to have to find something else to do. But I think most people that do this all the time, like I do, you're going to have plenty to keep you busy.
Do you think we're in control to have the ability to find the answers? Or do you think that this is so beyond our realm that even if we had the proper technology to detect these things, that it wouldn't make a difference?
I think it's getting, I think if people continue to be more open-minded about all of this, and to not get frustrated and continue going at it, I think we'll eventually get some answers. I'm hopeful. That's the only thing I can reasonably hope for. That we do get some answers down the road. But, it's the nature of the beast. Quite frankly, we got ourselves into this, and, many of us are hooked into it. And, we'd love to get answers before we move on, but it's just, we're not going to be able to solve everything.
No, I see that as well. I'm looking at things here in regards to what you put out on your website and all of the creatures that you have covered over the years regarding these strange subjects. How often do you get new subjects coming up? How often do you get it where people will tell you something completely oddball that you've never heard of?
It's rare, but I'm always surprised. I mean, there's something will always come up eventually that will surprise me. Monster hunters are, just got to be ready for the unexpected to show up. Of course, when you hear something, first of all, you got to figure out, well, if what they're telling you, is it true, or is it reasonably true? Then try to get to the point where we can actually start looking into it and try to find some answers. But no, I mean, you just don't never know what's going to show up. I mean, people will blindside you with something every once in a while, and many times it turns out to be nothing, or something natural, or something that's absolutely explainable. But every once in a while, something does happen. It's very rare, but it does happen.
Let's get to a story that you've had recently on phantomsandmonsters.com. And this one comes out of Pennsylvania, where it says, "Hi, Lon. I have a true story with you and your readers. And it's happened this occurred in 1968 when I was 8 years old. My family lived in a large Italianate-style home in Pittsburgh. It has been my father's home when he was a boy and had been in his family since the 1850s. At the time, my paternal grandparents were living there as well. In fact, my aunt and cousins also lived in separate apartments that had been built onto the original house. We were a very tightly knit family involved with many of the civic activities in our small community. My grandmother loved to read. She loved to do many different hobbies, read stories to me and my cousins throughout. Most of the time, it was only myself. She had a large sitting room on the second floor filled with 19th century antiques. She preferred to read by candlelight, as she did when she was a girl growing up in the same house. The atmosphere in the room was a throwback to a more simple time. This particular evening had an ominous feeling to it. It was early July, and the house was exceptionally warm. There had been a series of thunderstorms with pouring rain off and on for several hours. I tried to get comfortable in the sitting room while listening to my grandmother read, but there was little relief. She had just read a short story from Grimm's Fairy Tales titled God's Food. After she read the story, I told her I was going to the kitchen to get a drink of cold water. She looked over at me and said, "Don't be long, you may miss something." I ran down the hallway to the kitchen and got my drink. I started to walk back towards the sitting room when I noticed a wispy white cloud rush out of the sitting room doorway and into my grandparents' bedroom across the hall. I was startled and immediately overcome with dread and apprehension. I walked slowly into the sitting room and knew right away that my grandmother had passed away. That same night, my grandfather, who had been feeling ill and was lying on his bed at the time my grandma died, passed away in his sleep. A few years later, my fifth grade teacher gave each one of my classmates a list of literary collections in which we were assigned to pick a few favorite short stories and give a report to the class. Grimm's Fairy Tales was a part of that list, and I did not intend to use any of the titles. The next day, my friend and classmate Linda came to my house after school. We were talking about this assignment and discussing which titles we would choose. As I read the list, we came to Grimm's Fairy Tales. Immediately, Linda said, "Nope, Grimm's Fairy Tales." I asked her why. She explained that something weird happened to her when she was younger and that Grimm's Fairy Tales was involved. And it brought back terrible memories. "Wow," I asked, "what happened?" Linda started to explain the scenario. It was a horrifying but familiar account. When Linda was very young, her father would read her and her sister bedtime stories. Every night, their father would pick out a new short story. The girls looked forward to it since he would act out some of the characters. One night he decided to read God's Food, though he had warned them that it was just a fairy tale and that it conveyed a message about having goodwill towards others. He quickly read the story and then kissed each of them goodnight. About a minute later, they heard a terrible thumping and crashing sounds. They jumped out of bed and ran onto the landing to discover that their father had fallen down the stairs and broken his neck. Their mother was hysterical and totally out of control to the point where she never recovered from their father's death. She eventually became recluse. I was stunned by Linda's story. Since then, I've wondered if this particular tale had caused other tragedies. I have researched for years but never found anything of similar to this experience. Could these incidents be related somehow? What possible connection could the story to have our situations so close together? I still live in the family home with my husband where we raised our 3 children. I would occasionally be visited by spirits of my grandparents, and they were always together. In fact, they still pay me a visit around Thanksgiving each year, which they both truly enjoyed in life. Linda and I are still very close friends, but she misses her father deeply and wishes that he would find her one day. What's your thoughts on this?
Yeah, that's and it's funny. I had a couple people write me about that today after I posted it. And in fact, there's somebody, and I haven't read it all, but had something very similar happen to them. You know, these type of things happen. I guess it is kind of bizarre how there's a connection between one particular story that affects 2 different people at 2 different times in very similar ways. But it does happen.
I don't get it. It scares me. You know, I can understand, you know, you hear all the time of these couples that were just so in love that they die really closely together.
Yeah.
Sometimes within hours, sometimes within months. I mean, my parents' best friends, they both died within 3 months of each other. And, you know, they were inseparable. You know, they were one of those cute couples that even into their 60s, when they died in their early 60s, they were still holding hands all the time. One of those type of couples. And, you know, I could understand that kind of love and affection that when you die of a broken heart or somebody dies of a broken heart. But when it comes to certain fairy tales or reading passages, whether in a Bible or something a little bit more nefarious, do you put stock into that type of legend?
Sure. If it happens, it happens. I mean, I understand that. I've had families, you know, my great-grandparents, exactly the same thing. Both of them, actually, my great-grandparents, all died within a month of each other.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Yeah, on my grandmother's side and on my grandfather's side of the family, on my mother's parents and her grandparents, they all died. Her great grandparents, both of them died within a month of each other. Yeah. So I know it happens. Is there a synchronicity involved there? I don't know. You know, when that story in particular that I posted, you do wonder if it really did happen or it's very good creative writing. But there's a lot of strange things that do happen that are just unexplained. You know, I've had I've talked, you and I have talked. I've had a lot of weird things happen to me over my life. And I can't explain all of it. But it happens to other folks too, and I hear a lot of different things. So yeah, I think it's very possible like something like that would happen, even if it jumps, you know, between other families and stuff, and they have a very similar story. Is there something, out there that connects all that together? I guess it's very possible.
Let's go to another question from our audience here. This one from Stephen in the UK. Good morning, Stephen. What about instead of missing time, people who make journeys much quicker than is possible?
I don't know. I don't know how to answer that. Now, when they say journeys, do they mean an actual, like they're taking a trip, or
Probably.
it's something supernatural involved?
I would say something supernatural, but that's just
Yeah.
me.
I think it comes down to perception. I think each person that experiences something like that, they can only interpret a certain way or realize a certain way to when they convey it to you, they give you what they believe. And sure, if you're intuitive or psychic and you can kind of look into it and maybe get answers, but quite frankly, you're kind of at their whim to interpret what they tell you.
You think there's something paranormal about that?
It could be. It could be yeah. I mean, it could be.
All right, 3 minutes to go here before we got to go to break. At the bottom of the hour, Lon Strickler is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. Let's go to T-Bone. Lon, are you hearing about any Arctic or Antarctica cryptid stories these days?
Very, very few. Most of what I hear, cryptids, no. It's mostly all UFO or UAP phenomena. Just a lot of lights in the sky, a lot of weird stuff, possible government involved stuff. As far as cryptids go, no, you don't hear much of anything like that. I'm not saying it doesn't happen. I'm quite sure it does happen, but because of the locations, it's just really hard to get, stories out of those areas. We get a lot of accounts that come out of Alaska or into northern Canada, and many times even into Russia, into Siberia. But as far, up further north or further south into Antarctica, we just don't get a whole lot.
Do you think even in those frozen tundras that there are things up there that we can't explain, much like Bigfoot or what have you?
I think it probably is. What it is, I don't know, but I think there is. I think, well, just look at the oceans. We've got oceans over a large percentage of the world, and we still have no idea what's in there in the oceans. We can speculate, but things show up, and who knows?
Man, I don't even know. 90 seconds to go here before we got to go to break. At the bottom of the hour, let's go to Kira's question. Lon, have you ever heard of a Mothman appearance inside a hotel and suspending themselves from the ceiling?
I've had encounters where they've showed up in hotels, but I haven't encountered they just suspending from the ceiling. We've had a couple reports in Chicago, and this does happen, where people would be staying in a hotel, particularly downtown Chicago, and they would either see something outside the window or they would sense something inside the room or kind of get a vision of the Mothman. Now, that has happened.
That would be scary.
Yep.
You just come back from a night of drinking, having a few festivities with your friends. You come into your room, you take off your shoes, take off your coat, throw your wallet on the counter, your watch on the counter, and then you look in between the double beds, and there's a Mothman hanging upside down there. Complete nope for me.
Yeah, I've talked to a lot of people who have had some really crazy encounters in hotel rooms in Chicago with a lot of different phenomena. But many times it has to do with what people say are the red-eyed winged beings.
Lon Strickler continues on Spaced Out Radio, coming up right after this.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with your host, Dave Scott.
Hey, that's me. Boy, my throat is killing me today. It's not
It sounds like you got an issue.
Yeah. I woke up in the middle of the night coughing. Are you still on your CPAP?
My BiPAP, yeah.
Yeah. See, with mine, I got the nose pillows. And if I sleep on one side, normally I sleep on my left side and I'm just fine. But in the middle of the night, if I turn over to go onto my right side, it's like everything kind of shifts to the other side, and it causes me an absolute coughing fit. And I got caught in that last night. And it just killed my throat today.
Yeah, that's the one thing you gotta be concerned with. Many times it'll dry out so bad that it can cause some rough throats and stuff.
Yeah, I'm thinking about putting a little bit of distilled water in there tonight.
Oh yeah, use the humidifier.
Yeah,
I don't ever use mine, but I don't know. I don't like that heated vapor hitting me in the face. It just bothers me.
yeah. I found for a while there that it was how can I put it? It was almost making me feel like my lungs were filling up with water.
Yeah.
Didn't like that.
Yep. When I was in the hospital this last time when I had the last surgery done.
Yeah.
I had to take my BiPAP in there, So they insisted that I use the reservoir and, use the vapor.
Yeah.
I felt like I was going to drown. It did. It really bothered me. I just feel closed in.
I might have to put a little distilled water in tonight just to see how it goes.
I just took another sleep study. They're trying to get me off of it now.
That's because
I lost all that weight.
Yeah, your breathing must be so much better.
Oh, boy, I'm telling you, it is. It's 100%, if not more, better.
Oh, nice. Very nice.
And I sleep on my back. I don't sleep on my side. So.
Oh, not me, man. I am totally a side sleeper. Totally a side sleeper. Or just a sprawled out on my stomach.
Yeah, I've done that before.
Taking up all the room. Hey, if you guys have any questions for Lon, put them in capital letters. And I'd appreciate it.
Yeah, I like questions.
Warden Dragon, how you doing?
Now I got to figure out what the hell is wrong with my microphone and headphones. It's probably this computer's on Windows 10. It's probably a driver thing.
Hi, John Hudson. Moody Mongol, how you doing? Help me out with some questions tonight, people, because my throat is killing me. Tape your mouth shut with mouth tape. Okay, John. Tape your hair down before you put your fedora on. All right, 30 some seconds. All right. I don't have a cold. I just have a sore throat.
It's funny. Somebody just asked if anybody's ever told me I look like Lon Chaney. You know, I was actually named after Lon Chaney.
Nice. That's
nice.
bad.
Well, Lon Chaney Jr. My dad was a horror film nut. He liked Lon Chaney Jr., so that's how I got the name.
Nice. Okay, we're coming back in 5 seconds. Thank you to Deidre, T-Bone ×2, and Area 53 for the super chats. Here we go at the second half of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. We always appreciate you tuning us on in wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hey, I want to remind all of you that if you miss portions of this show or others, you can check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/spaced out radio. Do old Davey the favor. Hit that subscribe button. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the Newswire. Check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Here we go. Lon Strickler, phantomsandmonsters.com. We have until the top of the hour. Lon, thank you so much for being here tonight. We greatly appreciate it.
Always good to be with you, Dave.
I appreciate that, my friend. All right, let's get to more audience questions here. This one comes from Blue Cruise. Besides the Sasquatch people, do other humanoids, inhumanoids, cryptids use the energy of trees to bend, break, or knock them down for whatever purpose they choose to use the tree for?
The energy of trees. I don't think I've ever been asked that question. I don't know how quite to answer that, to be honest with you. I don't know what to say, Dave. What do you think?
I think the power of trees have their own power, but I don't think that the cryptids can mind meld with the tree to bend them over. I think that's pure strength. Because if you look at the trees that are bent over, it's ones that could easily be affected by heavy winds or heavy compact snow weighing them down. You know what I'm saying? That's my thoughts. Let's go to another question here. Deidre on Vancouver Island is asking, Lon, is there one place in the United States that you find most anomalous?
There are, well, I know here in Pennsylvania, there are a lot of areas that are anomalous. There's certain states that have more anomalies than any others in particular. I think Pennsylvania, Indiana, Wisconsin's, Florida, Texas. They seem to have a lot of weird stuff that happens. It's just not one type of phenomenon. It's a whole bunch of different stuff. New Mexico is another one. I mean, if you go look into the paranormal history, cryptid history of certain states, you're just going to find so many things that happen. Why that is, I think it has a lot to do with geography. I think it also has a lot to do with mineral content, water content, even past history as far as human history and imprints left on the land. I think that has a lot to do with it. But yeah, those states are probably the most anomalous here in the United States.
I'm going to give you a hockey question here because I know you love hockey. In your time, because you're a 70s, 80s guy for hockey, correct?
Yep.
Who had the best mustache?
Oh,
Dave
my
Schultz,
God.
Dave Schultz, Lenny McDonald, or Dennis Marouk?
Oh, Lenny McDonald.
He's still rocking that lip blade too, eh?
Is he?
Oh, yeah. I bet you when he passes away, they shave it off and put it in the Hockey Hall of Fame. They should. Love that mustache. You ever see that old hockey fight on YouTube between Lanny McDonald when he was with the Toronto Maple Leafs and Billy Smith of the New York Islanders? That's a good tilt.
I remember that one.
Yeah, it's on YouTube.
I remember that one.
Out again. It's amazing how small the hockey gear was back then, too. All right, let's go back to the weird stuff. Simon is asking, Lon, what's your thoughts on ghosts and the cold effect?
You know, there's a lot of theories on that. I think the specific energy, spirit energy, or life force that's still part of an entity has the ability to dissipate heat. And that's why I think some people can actually start feeling cold around spirit energy. I that's just my personal thought. You know, I have been at locations literally where the temperature has dropped 20 degrees within seconds. It's pretty profound, but I have experienced that to the point where, I mean, I'm blowing smoke, condensation coming out of my nose.
Up here, we just call that winter.
Yeah, well, that's winter up there. Yeah. But no, I've been in buildings where it just literally just dropped instantly. And that's, that's my theory as to why that happens. But, I could be wrong, but it just seems that the energy can just dissipate all heat around it, even at a distance.
That's pretty weird, man. Let's go to Paramarv here. Have you ever noticed a trend in dogman sightings changing with the seasons, Lon?
Some places. Yeah, some places. I think here, where I live at here in the eastern part of the United States, or up and down the Appalachians, I think some of the cryptid canines do move, do migrate occasionally. And as a result of that, they are seen fall, spring. We do get a lot of sightings in the fall and the spring. And I think that's the reason why. Many times cryptid canines, as opposed to maybe migrating Bigfoot, if they actually do that, it seems that the Bigfoot like to follow the valleys along the water, streams and rivers, but it seems like cryptid canines like to hit the ridges. They like to travel along the highlands. And But I think it makes it more vulnerable for them to be seen.
All right, let's move on here. Let's go over to who's next here. T-Bone, who is asking, Lon, what's your opinion on atmospheric cryptids?
Atmospheric cryptids.
I'm going to assume that's like Thunderbird and pterodactyls because they're in the atmosphere.
Well, I mean, we get a lot of reports about them. We absolutely do. I mean, winged cryptids, flying cryptids are, you know, that's just like with the winged humanoids. We get a lot of sightings. What do we know about them? Are they relics? Are they time slips? Are they actual beings that are living in our Earth plane? Or are they interdimensional? Who knows? You know, that's a big question. But it does seem, you know, all cryptids for the most part seem to have some type of supernatural ability. And I think those creatures that fly are, you know, propel themselves through the air to a degree. I think they have a lot of supernatural abilities as well.
Jojo would like to know, do you get any cryptid sighting encounters from Australia?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we do. It's mostly Yowie stuff, but there's some other stuff as well. I mean, now if you're talking cryptids, something that is supposedly not supposed to be around, sure, you know, everybody's heard of the thylacine and other creatures like that are supposed to have been extinct. But there's a lot of weird stuff out there. I mean, of course, a lot of people, and who knows if it's a thought form, a lot of people buy into a lot of the creatures as part of the Aboriginal lore. Do they manifest these type of creatures? Thought forms, tulpas. I think in a society or into a culture like that, an Aboriginal culture, you know, and the degree of that even moves into the cities in Australia in particular. You get a lot of weird sightings. But yeah, we do get sightings, you know, of you know, a lot of different bipeds, not necessarily winged beings, but mostly biped stuff. Every once in a while, a ridiculously big fish shows up somewhere, or a crocodile or something that's just unbelievably big. So
there's always a giant somewhere, my man.
Yeah, there's a lot of big stuff out there.
Lavender Winds wants to know, have any dogmen been reported around crop circles?
Well, since most of the crop formations that are reported come out of Great Britain, there's a few in Europe. We occasionally get one here in the United States. I don't think I remember any cryptid canines being involved with that. Not that I can recall.
Back to T-Bone. He's wondering if you've read Lou Elizondo's book Imminent yet.
No, I haven't read it.
Will you be?
I might read it, but I haven't read it.
Just watching online, is there an opinion you have on it?
I haven't really got into any of that yet. You know, it's an interesting story. I know there are a lot of people that believe a lot of what he's saying, and of course he's got his critics as well. I don't know what to think. You interviewed him, right?
Yeah, a few years ago.
Oh, okay. I don't know what to think about that. You know, I will read the book eventually, but I really don't have an opinion on it right now.
One of the things that I find confusing, and I was talking to our audience about this just the other night. You know, for decades, people had been saying, all we need is an insider to come out. We just need one insider to come out and share what they know from the inside. And the minute we get the guy, whether you believe in him or not, there's so many people trying to bring him down.
Sure. That's the nature of the beast, man. That's what happens. Why that is, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I'm not saying, in my own opinion, I don't know. I just don't know why. You know, it happens to me all the time. I mean, I have people try to question or be skeptics about what I report and what I investigate and all. I understand that. But I don't know. You know, I don't know. I just try to stay away from criticizing anybody. If it's something I don't really have an opinion on, I'm just not going to make something up, until I go deeper into it. Somebody said in there that I'm not a UFO guy. Yeah, well, overall, I'm not. I used to let Butch do all that, but since Butch isn't around anymore, I do get a few more of the UFO things, but not as much.
All right, let's move on here. So we got about 8.5 minutes to go. Christine would like to know, in the anomalous states, are there sightings mostly around big cities or smaller town?
Yeah, it's mostly out in the country, smaller towns, rural areas. Cryptid sightings are very rare in urban areas. It's just not, that's why this whole Chicago thing is just so, people just give me a whole lot of grief about it because they just can't believe that this thing's flying around cities where all these people are at, and then we're not getting pictures of it or a lot of other evidence. And it's just something that's very rarely happens. But no, most cryptid sightings, anomalous sightings, and are out in the boondocks somewhere or someplace where a lot of people aren't really at.
Why do you think they choose those rural areas rather than, say, somewhere where there's a population where they could be seen? Defense mechanism, you think?
Yeah, I don't think many of them want to be seen. I mean, this thing in Chicago, I think this thing wants to be seen for whatever reason. But yeah, I mean, as far as them showing up, cryptids showing up in less populated areas, I just think that, it's more convenient for their safety.
That makes a lot of sense. Let's go over to Stephen in the UK again. Lon, what is one location anywhere in the world you would love to investigate?
Probably out your way, BC.
Doors
yeah,
open.
Huh?
Door is open.
Yeah, I know that. Just a matter of finding time. Yeah, I BC's always fascinated me with all the weird stuff that goes on out there. I mean, there's a lot of places I'd like to look into, but BC would probably be number one. I'd like to go over to Great Britain and look into a few things at some point. Mostly paranormal stuff, but there's some cryptid stuff too as well. Certain areas, Cannock Chase, other places like that.
Let's see here. Let's go over to Christine. In the she already asked that, or it's a repeat question. Let's go to Lee. Presuming Sasquatch is an endangered species, should hunting Sasquatch be outlawed?
Personally, I think it should be. I don't want to see any of those things, any of these creatures being killed. I really don't. Even though the only way we're going to prove it is we have a body, but I don't want to see somebody going out there and try to kill one of these things. That's just not been something that's ever interested me. In fact, I just find it disgusting, quite frankly, because I had an encounter with one of these creatures, and if I had a gun, I would have never shot it unless, I had no choice. But no, not for the sake of just shooting it.
I don't know if you can kill it. I don't think you can. But I also don't think that we need a bunch of people, running into the forest with torches and spears and muskets trying to, push the Sasquatch out of their territory and shooting at all hell and high water. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, I've never advocated killing non-game animals, quite frankly. I don't consider them game.
Has there ever been a believable story for you, Lon, that you have heard that somebody has acquired a deceased Sasquatch?
No. I haven't heard one. There's always a caveat to where they say they did have it, but then the government came and took it, or something else had happened, or that type of thing. I just don't find any evidence that it's ever really happened. I mean, and quite frankly, if anybody had a body, let's say I had a body, I wouldn't even know what I would do. I really don't.
Well, we could use it as a dinner table. I'd cryogenically freeze it and then stand it up in my house.
Yeah.
Let's go to J Truth Seeker. Lon, are you familiar with the feral people like that of the Nune or Nunehi in the Appalachians, or the Nahani in the Northern Territory?
The Vedas of Russia. Yeah, I'm very familiar with it, particularly with the Appalachians and the tree people of Appalachia. They have a lot of different names in certain regions. But I've heard so many stories of the tree people, and
heard of the tree people.
Yeah, that's mostly in West Virginia and Southwest Virginia. These feral humans that literally travel in trees from tree to tree. I mean, I haven't heard about that for years. I have family that's lived in Appalachia down in North Carolina. They've had stories for eons, not only the wild people, which more or less are just the Bigfoot, but they've had other feral people stories as well. And I don't think they have any particular names for them, but yeah, but I'm familiar with it. Supposedly there are feral people that live in the Blue Ridge and up into the Appalachians into Pennsylvania, up into other parts further north. I don't know much about that. I have heard of the Vedas in Russia. I have never done any investigations, but the Ural Mountains supposedly have a race of feral people living them as well. So,
well, there was some talk during the Dyatlov Pass incident that may be feral people.
Yeah. Yeah, that's that very well could be too. I mean, that wouldn't surprise me, because there are a lot of indigenous people that live in the Urals that just remain hidden. So
All right, we got about 25 seconds left with you tonight, Lon. Want to say a big thank you to all the people who asked questions from our audience. We greatly appreciate that. Lon, tell everybody where they can find Phantoms and Monsters.
Just go to phantomsandmonsters.com, and I post every day. And Phantoms and Monsters Radio and YouTube, as well as my team's Phantoms and Monsters Fortean research team, where we do boots on the ground investigations and all kinds of different things, and occasionally end up on TV.
Lon Strickler, everybody. We'll be back with Hour 3 of Spaced Out Radio.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with your host, Dave Scott.
Great job, little Lonnie Strickler.
Yeah, we got through it.
We made it. Good luck with your headphones.
Yeah, I don't know what the hell's going on. I'm going to have to figure that out. That'll be my job tomorrow.
All right, buddy. Much love.
Okay, you take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Lon Strickler, everybody. We'll be right back. All right. All right, we're back. Got 2 minutes. How we all doing? Doing good? My throat is killing me. Sorry about that. Oob to Joe's Main. You've got aliens. How's Lubla? Lubla. Let's look at the old calendar here for a second. 10th is a Tuesday. And better get your bucket ready.
Gotta get my bucket ready.
Get your bucket ready.
My bucket is ready.
There we go.
All right, let's get this thing squared away.
Thank you tonight to T-Bone ×2, Deidre, and W. Decker, Area 53 for the super chats. Who's coming on the 10th? That's when hunting season opens. It's a Tuesday.
Yeah. 10th is a Tuesday?
10th is a Tuesday.
And we won't be here.
Where are you going to be?
We're going to be hunting.
I may call in sick.
Right?
Yeah, I may call in sick that day.
What is going on there?
Uh-huh.
Uh-huh. Jesus.
All right, we got 10 seconds. Here we go, everybody. All right, here comes the third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. We got Swamp Dweller and Tim James coming up with the UFO report momentarily. But first, I want to say hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire. Check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. All right. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. What do you got for us, Clam? Maculamancy. Maculamancy is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as a clam sets a password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Let's head to the swamp.
Hello and welcome to Spaced Out Radio's Swamp. I'm Swamp Dweller, and tonight I'm going to take you on a mystic journey of the unknown, sharing tales of monsters, legends, and nightmares. Welcome to the Spaced Out Radio Swamp. In 2016, I was camping in my troopy, which, if you don't know because you're not from Australia, is basically a Jeep. I was around the Daintree area. On the night of my 21st birthday, my partner and I decided to go to the beach, Thornton Beach, and smoke a joint, which I've realized was probably pretty dumb because of the crocodiles. It's a fairly remote beach, backing onto a rainforest with a few buildings down the southern end. We're just sitting there, setting up our stuff by the tree line in the shadows, and just enjoying the moonlight and chatting, having a smoke when we hear two twigs break and leaves start to crunch. We both spring around and look behind us, walking backwards towards the beach. When we don't see anything, we assume it was just an animal or a bird, and we walk a few meters down the coast to carry on the night. Maybe 10-15 seconds later, after we sat down, a man walked out of the rainforest from where we were previously sitting and made a beeline for the water. We weren't expecting to see another person, so we shuffled back up the beach to the safety of the shadows. The man removed his shirt and started rolling around in the water shallows. It was pretty strange, but, to each their own, I guess. He does this for about 5 minutes before he gets up, stands in the water, faces the ocean for probably another 5 minutes, then turns around. He's looking in our direction and takes a few steps forward. He bends down, picks up what I assume is a coconut, which causes my partner to stiffen up a little bit. He stood there with the coconut, staring at us for quite some time. We're unsure of what to actually do here. We were pretty positive he couldn't see us in the shadows, but we're starting to doubt it. I could sense my partner beginning to gear up. He'd felt around for a big stick behind him and whispered that if he came too close to us, get ready to run. After another 3 to 5 minutes, the man drops the coconut and returns to the beach. We start rising, and my partner grabs the stick, but the man walks past us back into the rainforest. We booked it, back down to the beach, to the car where we were parked, and got the heck out of there. We got all the way back to our freaking campsite in like record time, honestly, feeling pretty damn rattled. We've concluded that maybe he was on ecstasy, or maybe overheating or dehydrated, so perhaps that's why he was rolling around in the water. We honestly don't know, but I don't really want to know. Glowing Orbs at Camp Hero by Anonymous. I've just stumbled upon this show and thoroughly enjoy a lot of the experiences and stories others have shared on it. I finally felt compelled to share an experience of my own. And while it may not be as provoking or profound as some of the stories told on this show, it honestly still fills me with strange and mysterious feelings all these years later. I grew up on Long Island in the state of New York. My older sister, her boyfriend, and I often walked the trails and the beaches at night. One evening, we were walking at Camp Hero State Park. It was a full moon, so it was very bright out. As we were walking the trail, we stopped to relax and looked over the water. My sister's boyfriend sparked up a joint, and we all were partaking and relaxing. While gazing out onto the open water, we spotted a small light in the distance. My sister inquired what we thought it might be. Her boyfriend said it was probably just a light on a distant boat. I agreed, but we didn't know much about it. However, as the moments passed, we noticed the light approaching us, getting closer by the minute. As it moved closer, it appeared to be above the water, in the sky, not on the water floating. We soon realized it was not light on a distant boat. We continued speculating about what it could be, and I concluded that it had to be someone's small drone. But as the light came closer and closer, the brightness got stronger and more intense. If you know Camp Hero, you know that there are cliff edges that hang over the water. We were standing on the edge with this orb approaching us. Within 5 minutes, the orb was no longer in the distance. It was hanging in front of us. It was not over the water, but somewhat over the sandy beach. We just stood there, staring at it in awe. It had a whitish purple glow. Despite being nighttime, it was bright out due to the light of the full moon. On this high visibility evening, it became evident that there was no drone. This light was standing with no machinery attached, and it just hung about 10 feet in front of us for about 30 seconds. It then disappeared so that it almost seemed to envelop itself. We all decided to get the hell out of there, and that was it. This was back sometime in 2015. I've visited the park numerous times since then, and I've never seen anything remotely close to it. Maybe we were all just a bunch of stoned teenagers and it was a group delusion or something. But I've done my fair share of weed, and that's never happened. That night will stick with me forever. The park itself is shrouded in mystery, and I can only speculate that the orb was a remnant of one of those experiments conducted at Camp Hero back in the day.
Thank you, Swamp Dweller, for another couple of spooky stories there. If you want more just like that, head on over to youtube.com/Swamp Dweller Reads and join his posse of over 300,000 subscribers. From the swamp to the stars above, Tim James is here at the UFO Report.
That is an interplanetary flying space saucer. You have made me very angry. Very angry indeed.
All right, Tim James, the Lou Elizondo story. Taking more effort. We have a new leader of AARO, and space scientists in India say we got aliens.
Uh-huh. Absolutely.
How you doing, my friend?
I'm doing good. And you?
Good. Before we get started, you and I headed out into the forest on the weekend.
We did.
You're 2 for 2
I know.
for action.
Yeah. That was freaky though. That was freaky. I mean, we heard the knock out there. That was cool. But that spot that one spot that is down behind us where we were sitting. The first time I was up there, that's where I saw those really low lights, kind of whoop whoop. But when we were sitting there the other night, I had that uncanny urge, as you know, to just get up and walk down there. Like it was like I had this, it was just driving. Come on down. You need to go look. You need to go look. And then when it went and I heard my name in my head or whatever, I was like, but we did some pretty cool stuff.
So we went to our Sasquatch spot on Saturday night. It was just Tim and I, and we drive out there, and it's nice. It's peaceful.
Gorgeous.
The birds are chirping. The sun is going down, and we're sitting in our lawn chairs, all prepared. I found my flashlight, by the way.
Oh, good.
Finally found it. Yeah, I'm done with crappy flashlights now. Long story short, well, we'll make it long because we're allowed to. This is my show.
You can do what you want.
I can.
Yeah, I know.
And we end up making a fire. And like Tim said, there's this one area just below. It's like a cul-de-sac in the forest. I don't like it there at night. I don't even like it there during the day, but I'll go in there during the day when I could see things. But at night, it's like there's this portal of negative energy in there that always seems to open up and make weird things happen.
100%.
And so you kept on hearing like voices trying to call you over there.
I heard it. Yeah, I heard my name once, but I heard it sounded like people talking right in that area. And yeah, so when you asked me, I was like, yeah, I'm not walking down there. And you were like, yeah, no, you're not. But when we were sitting there and we got quiet for a bit, and all I heard was Tim. And I was like, what the heck was that? And that's when we got the dowsing rods out, right? Yeah, that was uncomfortable. Even when we walked in there, like you were saying, when we walked out into that area in the daytime, it just has that super eerie feeling. And the hairs on my arms stood up, but it was when everything went quiet, when we were sitting around the fire, and it got super quiet, that things really seemed to pick up down there. I'm like, gives me the chills thinking about it.
Yeah, I don't like that area.
No.
But the good news about it was we actually had a tree knock.
We did.
Shortly after we got the fire going.
Yep.
You know, we heard a tree knock to probably within 40, 50 yards of us.
Yeah.
And it wasn't a loud tree knock. It wasn't a bang.
No.
It was like a really subtle tap on the tree.
Yeah.
And I remember saying to you, did you hear that tree knock? Because I wasn't sure. It was
of course.
It was so weird. So
yeah,
and quiet. But I'm glad you heard it. You're like, yep, I heard it.
Yes.
You know, but
for sure. No, yeah, so that's 2 for 2. And then that, like I say, when we went back and we checked out the spot where I saw that Bigfoot or Sasquatch last time we were up there, it was weird because that was kind of right in line with the gifting site. And I had no idea that that's where the gifting site was.
Yeah, the gifting site was only like 20 feet away.
I know. So it just made me even go, oh, right. Yeah, it was a good time. Freaky, though. Yeah, it was time to get out of there.
Yeah, it was. The dowsing rods were going crazy too.
I have not had problems with dowsing rods whatsoever ever since I've used it. I mean, sure, they'll wiggle and do silly stuff. But there was a couple of times when you were asking the questions and I was holding them, and they just wouldn't stay still. It was like they were getting pulled in 6 different directions. I was like, what's going on here?
At one point, you had them like spinning.
Yeah. Like, and I'm like T-Rex, and I'm holding them like right up against my chest, and they're just like wink, wink, and Yeah, it was so strange. It was very, very strange. Cool, but strange,
Oh yeah.
which I like.
Yeah, it was weird.
Whoopalooza.
Totally woo-a-palooza. That's right. That's total woo-a-palooza right there.
You got her.
All right, let's get to the latest on Lou Elizondo.
Oh,
and
gosh.
and there was an interesting point today because
Mhm.
we're used to the critics coming out and saying he's full of it.
Yeah.
He is somebody who is not very honest. He's not somebody who should be trusted.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get the pro Lou crowd that are almost look at him like a cult-like deity.
Yeah.
And both sides have their good people and both sides have their detractors.
Yeah.
But when it comes from Washington, D.C., this is where it gets a little bit weird.
Yeah.
Because on News Nation, and I'll let you take it after this.
Sure, go ahead.
On News Nation, it came down that James Lakatsky, the former head of OSAP,
Mm-hmm.
who is very well lauded by Elizondo as a really good guy, really threw him under the bus on News Nation.
Yeah.
So I'll read this for you. Hopefully my throat doesn't give out on me.
Uh-huh.
I was the sole program manager for the complete duration of DIA's OSAP, September 2008 to December 2010, and worked alongside DHS in the follow-on Kona Blue program through 2011. Lou Elizondo was not involved in either OSAP or Kona Blue. Now, a lot of people are going to take this that Elizondo didn't work there.
Right.
But Elizondo stated he has never worked for OSAP. He worked for ATIP.
Mm-hmm.
What's your thoughts on that?
Quite honestly, I think opinions are like buttholes. I don't, the way I see it, I think that I don't see Lou lying in his book. I just don't. I think that there's probably going to be people that are going to come out and completely contradict things that he has said, as written in his book, whatever. I mean, the thing was vetted for a year before it was put out. So, I mean, besides the powers that be vetting his book, going through it, I don't think that they'd allow the embellishment that, in my opinion, I just don't think that they'd allow the embellishment. And I think that you're going to find that there's going to be people that are going to come out to try to save the top secretness of everything and basically just turn things around. Oh no, he never was down at Guantanamo Bay. I was the guy at Guantanamo Bay. I just have a funny feeling they want to try to derail it. And I think it's also self-serving because they get their 15 minutes of fame as well. I would suspect from the things that I've read, the interviews that I've seen with Elizondo, I'm almost Elizondo to death the last, especially after this weekend. I think that he is stating truth. I don't think he's lying. I think maybe, like all of us do, you color your sentences or your vocabulary a little bit more than you normally would. But what's the point? What's the point? And like you said, this guy is the one that everybody's been wishing for, that'll step out of the box and kind of, let us peek behind the curtain of Oz, the great Oz. And as soon as you find that person, there's always somebody that's going to try to take him down, or people or groups that are going to try to take him down. And yeah, you got what you asked for. Now you're criticizing and kicking the legs out from him. I don't agree.
I think Lou Elizondo is telling his truth.
Absolutely.
But we have to remember that when you have an autobiography, it's your story.
Mm-hmm.
Number one. But number two, we often forget that there is three sides to every story.
Yep.
There is your side, there is my side, then there's the truth down the middle. And it's not saying that Elizondo is lying, but the mind plays tricks.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
And what he believes is the truth may not be what happened. I mean, I know that when Mark Merle and I got chased out of the forest in 2018 with the aliens, or not, I mean, with the Sasquatch,
Right.
we have 3 different encounters.
Yeah.
And we've sat down and talked about it. And we're like, no, that didn't happen that way. And Mark will say, no, you didn't happen the way you said.
Mm-hmm.
This is what happened.
Yeah.
Right. And I believe Elizondo believes he's telling the truth.
Of course.
I'm just not sure whose truth is right.
And very good argument. Very good point. I mean, that's exactly it. 7 people hear a paragraph, and all 7 people will interpret it or recite it differently. You're absolutely right. But the way that I see it and the way that I'm thinking, that's a pretty big oops in truth to say that, hey, I worked at McDonald's. No, I never worked. You never worked here. That's a pretty big stretch. It is controversial. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe, like I said, they're stirring it up for their 15 minutes of fame. But I find that a very, very, very big stretch for him to say, I never worked in that department. I was the only guy that worked there. It's like, okay, so we'll have to see how that develops as well, I'm sure.
Oh, I absolutely agree. Absolutely agree to see how that develops. There's been so many different stories coming out about Elizondo and everything that has happened. I mean, in certain interviews, he's saying, he's been caught up in a couple of, I'm not sure if it's just his memory of the stories, but I was talking to one host earlier on today, where at one point he was saying that, the NHI are real and that they are here. The U.S. government's covering them up.
Yeah.
And then he's now in kind of denial of that, stating that, I said, I'm saying it hypothetically that this may be the case.
Yeah.
So I think he probably may have got his hands slapped a little bit.
Exactly.
By not saying everything that he maybe should have.
Right. Yeah, I agree. And in all fairness to the guy, I mean, he's put out this book. He's been on press campaigns. He's been on junkets. He's just been going and going and going and going. I mean, I forget what I've done, what I've had for supper if I'm exhausted. So, I mean, I'm not trying to make excuses for him, but there is some, there's got to be some elbow room. I just, again, going back to that point, I don't see him lying or making that big of a mistake that, oh yeah, no, I never worked for that top secret department. Right? It's
I mean, if it's proven that he did not work there, that he did not work there at all, and that means Harry Reid lied, that means Bob Bigelow lied, many people lied about that, and I don't see that being the case. I'm just putting this out there hypothetically. Okay, but if that were the case, Elizondo, I mean, he might as well go underground, dig a hole and live underground.
Yeah.
Because it's not going to be pretty for him. I don't believe that personally.
No.
But there are people who are trying to portray that in him.
Sure. I mean, and anything is possible. I'm not going to argue that. You have to keep an open mind. I have my beliefs, but yeah, if that came down the pipe that here it is and undisputable evidence, I think it'd turn not only his life upside down, but all of us and the people that are reading this and taking it for not gospel, but taking it for.
Do you think that would really solidify the fact that he's a disinformation agent?
I would, for me, I would think that that's exactly what would happen. I would look at it and go, dude, you set us up. Everybody, we fell, we got hooked. I would be, embarrassed, obviously, but I think I would be so annoyed with that, and I don't even know the American government or the U.S. government. like the backlash from people like us and even science communities and stuff. My good God, man.
Well, but let's remember as we go to break here at the bottom of the hour, we're being hypothetical here.
Yes, of course.
We both agree that Elizondo, as far as we know, was the lead of the HM program. When we return, the new head of AARO and aliens in India.
This is Spaced Out Radio and your host, Dave Scott.
Here's another thing, too, is if Elizondo was proven wrong,
yeah,
whatever advancement that he got on his book, he would probably be taken to court for that. That's probably in contract.
For sure. For sure. Yeah, he'd be walking a razor's edge, that's for sure.
Oh, yeah. And that's why I said, I don't think he's lying.
No.
I think he's telling, like I said, he's telling his truth. But there are probably other truths out there as well.
Sure. Yeah, understood. Totally. Yeah.
You know, and I don't think it's because of a grift on the book. I don't buy that.
No.
Whatsoever. I don't buy that.
No. Oh, yeah. Hypothetically, that would be just unbelievable, though.
I love the argument about people, oh, he's grifting to make money off of this. Still going on. I was reading comments about it on X yesterday about it. And I'm thinking, so when Wayne Gretzky did his autobiography, was that a grift for money? Or when Tom Clancy, God bless his soul, wrote another Jack Ryan novel, was that a grift for us Jack Ryan fans to buy his next book?
No.
You know, just, I don't get it. Me Wyken, how are you?
It's how you, I think some people, they try to twist the narrative, obviously, to benefit themselves, right? And again, it's the way I see it.
The way I see it as well.
Dun, dun, dun.
Oh, I can't wait to get to bed after this.
I know. Yeah. There won't be a lot of chit chat after this tonight, folks.
Oh, I still got to edit the show, but I'm going to tell you right now, it's going to be one of the quickest edits I've ever done. You know, normally after a show, I'll sit around, I'll have a glass of water, maybe a snack or something like that.
Yeah.
Not tonight.
No.
And if these great people knew how exhausting my life was right now.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, you're burning the candle at more than both ends, man.
Dude, somebody lit the candle in the middle now.
Yeah. Yeah. But it sure was a fun Saturday night. Just sitting out in the bush.
Yeah, it was. Hell yeah, it was.
Yeah. Should have brought a sleeping bag. Just slept in the Jeep.
We got to bring your trailer there, dude.
Yeah, not a problem.
We totally need to bring your trailer there.
Yeah, sit out there as long as we want and then go in and lock the door.
Could you imagine, like, middle of the night, all of a sudden that, like, the trailer starts getting shaken?
Scary but cool.
Totally scary but cool.
Somebody grabbed your phone.
I ain't grabbing my phone. I'll be...
Yeah, you would be bold.
Yeah, by the way, do you have electricity in there? Because I need it for my CPAP.
Do so.
Yes. Do you have a generator?
Nope.
Then there's no CPAP.
Why?
Because I'll drain your batteries by wearing my CPAP overnight.
I'll just have my truck running all night.
Oh,
that'd suck.
It's one of them Dodge ones.
One of them Dodges.
We got about 90 seconds.
All right. Oh. Yeah, we've been getting lots of rain, which is fantastic.
Hey, no more fire ban.
I know my wife was all angry with me when I told her, look at the color of the poplar leaves today. They're starting to go gold at the top. It's like fall's the best time of year. Especially,
I think I'm gonna have to go see her for lunch tomorrow.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's time for one of them.
Mexi chicken wraps.
God, those are good.
Yes.
Just taste it. God, I shouldn't have said that.
See, now you're gonna, yeah.
Mm-hmm. That just pissed me off now.
Self-inflicted wound, my friend.
Why do I do that to myself? Son of a motherless goat. Oh, come on. Three Amigos.
Yes.
You son of a motherless goat.
It took me a second there. I was like, I heard that before.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Big fan. Big fan. Thank you, T-Bone, with a hat trick.
Nice.
Yeah. Potted the last two to make the hat trick up for the super chats.
Attaboy.
Thank you, Deidre. And W. Decker, Area 53, for the great super chats. Thank you. Thank you very much. I think we're coming back in like 11 seconds.
I think.
All right, we continue on with the UFO report tonight with Tim James. My name is Dave Scott. This is Spaced Out Radio, and we're glad to be broadcasting you live from the top of the mountains of beautiful British Columbia. Reminder to all of you that if you missed most of this show or others, you can check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Tim James of the UFO Report continues on. We got a new head of the AARO program. What do you got on this, Tim?
Well, I've got a little bit of stuff on it, but wow, big surprise. He was the acting director, I guess, after Kirkpatrick had bailed, retired, whatever you want to call it. But so this new director just appointed and announced Dr. John T. Koslowski. He serves as the director of AARO right now. So given the position. So prior to this, Dr. I hate saying his name, Kozlowski held technical and leadership positions within the research directorate of the NSA. So in that capacity, he led advanced mission-oriented research in the fields of networking and computing and served as a subject matter expert in the area of free space optics. Say that 10 times fast. He advised various Department of Defense agencies as well. In addition to his optics research and crypto mathematics, he invented an advanced language agnostic search engine and served at the Department of Defense Special Communications Enterprise Office. He received his bachelor's degree in mathematics and physics from California State University, San Bernardino, and then it just goes on and on and on with his resume. So there we have it. AARO's got a new director with a very, very, very fancy resume. And I say, I have no idea what any of this means to AARO, right? We just got another talking head to replace a talking head.
Well, here's my thing on this guy, because so far I have not heard good things. Okay. I've heard through the grapevines in the groups that I talk to that this could be Sean Kirkpatrick 2.0.
Yeah.
I would like to sit through, and maybe it's just my own curiosity here, but I would like to sit through one of these interviews, shall we call it?
Okay.
What kind of questions do they ask? Are they like, do you believe in aliens? Do you believe that there is life out in the stars? I mean, this guy's a lifelong NSA agent.
Yeah.
Okay, who's obviously just being transferred.
Mm-hmm.
And now he's taking over a very incredible, if I could use that term, incredible portfolio of high strangeness.
Mm-hmm.
What's his experience with high strangeness? What's his experience with UFOs and the technology behind it? What did he know about UFOs?
True.
I mean, if you want to bring Elizondo into this for a second, when they recruited Elizondo, he said in the book Imminent that he had no interest in the subject. And he liked hiring people with no interest in the subject because he felt it led to unbiasedness in the research, and he let the science do the talking. And I don't really have an issue with that. I mean, I don't think many people would. Lots of people get hired for positions that you leave scratching your head, wondering, why would you choose that person?
Right.
Well, Elizondo explains when he was in the boss's chair, he did not like hiring people who were already into the woo or the UFOs.
Right.
So what's this guy?
Yeah, exactly. I'm at a loss. I mean, without going back, I'd obviously we'd have to research it. I'd have to research his history. But yeah, what is it? What makes him qualified? Is there anything that makes him qualified? Right? Who frickin' knows? I'm all I'm looking at right now is we've just got another dude in there.
Well, the question is he going to carry the torch for the government where they're getting incredible pressure for transparency and to figure out what's going on? Is he going to carry that torch, or is he going to follow along the rules and guidelines set forth by somebody like Dr. Sean Kirkpatrick and obviously high-ranking people at the Pentagon?
Right.
Are they going to continue that washout of the subject like the old Condon report?
Right.
Where there's nothing to see here. They're all Chief Wiggum from The Simpsons. There's nothing to see here, people. Nothing to see here. Move along.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, speculatively speaking, obviously, who knows? We don't know. I think my opinion, I think we're just going to see more of the same, but with the new Disclosure Act coming up, will there be some fire underneath his feet? Will there be a desire to actually tell the truth, for lack of a better term? Is he going to be a puppet on a bunch of strings that he's just going to do as he's told and walk around and yes sir, no sir, can't say, there's nothing, like you said, nothing to see here? It's speculative, all speculation, but and maybe a little cynical, but I don't know. I'm not seeing him jump up. I don't know.
Well, we're going to see how this guy talks. If he has that snide attitude that our good friend Sean Kirkpatrick seemed to have,
right,
then I'm going to be worried.
Mm-hmm.
All right, because then it's like, what's the point?
Yeah, for sure. I would hope that whoever is, the gatekeeper of this, and the people involved in this see that and maybe have a change in direction. I mean, it doesn't mean he's going to give us any more information or any better information, but maybe there will be a softer, gentler personality, maybe a more scientific approach. It'll all come out in the wash, I suppose.
I just got a whiff of watermelon. I don't know. Maybe it's my socks. I don't know. Just so weird. So weird. All right, let's head over to India.
Yeah.
What happened there?
So the paper or whatever, I was again going through a bunch of stuff, just perusing the Times of India, and this is an article or part of an article. I edited and rearranged it, but I guess what is it? The Indian Space Research Organization is basically India's NASA. All right. So in a recent statement, the chairman has stirred up conversations about the potential existence of extraterrestrial positive that there are aliens, that the aliens are real. They do live on Earth. We do have visitors. Like he just states it. Like this is what's happening. So what he did is in a recent statement, whatever, the chairman has stirred conversation about potential existence of extraterrestrial life. Emphasizing the rapid advancements in human technology, the chief suggests that the existence of alien civilizations is not just possible, but very likely across the universe. This intriguing perspective invites us to rethink our understanding of life beyond Earth and consider the broader implications of our places in the cosmos. He also highlighted the dramatic technological leaps humanity has made over the past years. Just 100 years ago, technological capabilities were relatively primitive compared to today's standards. This rapid evolution serves as a backdrop for contemplating extraterrestrial civilizations, offering a framework for understanding the potential existence of life forms at varying stages of development through the universe. So what he's saying is first of all, he goes, how do we know? How do we know that with the, I guess, technological advances of the extraterrestrials, we have no idea if these beings are, some of them are 200 years behind our way of living and our technology, and obviously some of them are like thousands of years ahead, right? So he goes, what's going on? It's building that framework. Everybody thinks they're far more advanced, but he's saying no, that's not necessarily the case, because underdeveloped and overdeveloped, where is everybody? We can't be the most underdeveloped planet in the world, right? Or in the universe. So, but he is highly, highly, highly pro, and there's no doubt in his mind. You can go to the Times of India and actually read the article. There's broken down, I think, into about 4 of them, but he's, like I said, he's very pro. And now NASA, what I was reading is somebody tried to get a statement out of NASA saying, hey, what did you think about India's NASA, say the chair, the chief there? And they were no response.
No kidding.
Really. But
no kidding.
But
dun, dun,
dun. But all of a sudden there's some people in the US government that are, hey, we should go over to India and just see what's going on and check this out, right?
Well, technically, and that would make sense, because technically speaking, India is still a Commonwealth country.
It's true.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there is a little bit of pull.
True.
Around that.
Yeah. Exactly.
So how do you think that they would have any influence?
Easy answer, or so hard to say. I think that if they can prove it, I mean, there's nothing that says that we have, in India, they're not saying they have anything in their possession. They don't have it. But in experiences, they seem to be a little bit more open when it comes to the extraterrestrial beings. And because, I mean, if you go back, and we could go off on another total rabbit hole. If you go back into okay,
I got something in my eye.
Oh, so if you go back into like civilization and back into their times, like we're thousands and thousands of years, they have their history and their however they did their papers, whatever. Yep. They have winged chariots. They have beings coming from, they documented this, right? So they've always had a bit of, not a bit, but they've always had a strong belief that visitors from other planets have come, and their history shows it. So I don't think they're as skeptical. I think they're wary. I think they may be, like most everybody is about that sort of stuff, but they're very much open-minded. And yeah, we'll see what the government officials have to say about their visit to India. But yeah,
India's got aliens.
That's right. And he's been on tons of podcasts out there talking about it, and nobody's telling them to shut up.
I'd love to talk with them.
Right?
I would totally love to talk with them.
I know.
I think that would be a fun conversation. You know, I really do. And I mean that with all due respect.
Sure, of course. Well, what we could do is we could get them on SOR.
Well, that's what I'm thinking. I mean, what time is it in New Delhi right now? What time is it in New Delhi? Well, they are, what would that be? 12 and a half hours ahead.
So it's morning or
Afternoon.
Yeah.
It's afternoon there.
Give them a shout.
Yeah. Hey, this is Dave. Ranveer, Dr. Ranveer, can you please come chat with Dave about some aliens, please?
Yep. Exactly.
I honestly would love that conversation. But you know what? It takes an outsider like that to speak up, to move the ball forward too. Yeah. And that little piece right there, it could be very important in moving this subject forward. It really could.
Sure. And I mean, we've experienced it in life, right? Some stuff just comes out of left field, and it's where and the inertia and the ball gets rolling from where you least expect that it would, right? Out of the mouths of babes, right? It's interesting to look at it that way, but I think he would be a good interview. I'd actually like to listen to some of the stuff. I mean, I don't know if he's speaking in Indian or if there's English.
No, he was speaking. His English was very cracked.
Okay,
but English second language, obviously over there. I'm willing to give him a break. On that. That's not as important to me as, trying to see if he would actually, want to come on the show and talk about this, because I mean, this has a lot of people yapping all over the world.
Yeah.
And you don't get to a position like that without having some sort of brilliance, unless you're Bill Nelson of NASA.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where he's looking for them UAPs.
We're changing the acronym.
Oh,
yeah.
But, I just look at it like I think it would be a smart move overall to try and get this guy on the show. Maybe he talks, maybe he doesn't.
Well, he's doing a lot of talking. So, you know what? I'm sure that there's probably a generic email at the government or something. We can try to get a hold of him. That would be interesting.
We're going to send Dirty Filth after him.
Yeah.
We got about 5 minutes to go here. What else do you got for us today?
The last thing that I had is we've got a little bit of history. So it was 71 years ago this date that the United States Air Force issued Air Force Regulation 200-2, which tightened UFO reporting and investigating procedures, further restricting the release of UFO information and superseding their last Air Force letter. Don't need to give you all the numbers. So again, 1953. It directs that.
What was it like being like 25 at that age?
It was still still good. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I love living back then. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, this new, or at the time, the new regulation, it directed that all confirmed UFO reports be sent electronically to the Air Force Intelligence. Tangible evidence must go to ATIC in Dayton. So Air Intelligence, Technical Intelligence Center. Then the United States Air Force Intelligence at the Pentagon, and then to the 4,602nd Air Intelligence Service Squadron. So sightings are only to be discussed with authorized personnel, and reports by the United States Air Force personnel no longer go to Project Blue Book. So that was something cool in history, where that was a deviation from the norm, which is now only a PR front. So in their documentation at that time in 1953, Project Blue Book was just a public relations front. So there, yeah. Now, I actually went through the paperwork for the 200-2 and the 200-5. If you've got some free time and want to, and you want to try to guess what all the black redactions are in the documents, have at her.
No. I'm just going to tell you no right now.
No. I mean, it's just cool. It was like 70. It's fun to look back. I like looking back on this stuff. And I know you and I have talked about it. It's like, and these were the procedures on this date 71 years ago. It's like, my goodness. Still doing the shell game.
But you know what? What's interesting about that is that it still opens up the fact that a long time ago, 70 years ago, 7 decades.
Yeah.
That's my mathematics on that. You can't take it away.
Okay, you got it.
All right. It's my common core math right there. 70 minus 0 equals 70 decade or 70 years. But 7 decades if you take the 0 off.
Your show, man. Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, we're getting ready for back to school here, and I'm all common core math right now. And the stupidity of it.
Yeah,
that's just another.
I get it.
I don't want to rant on that today. But nonetheless, it just goes to show that the Air Force really has never wanted to talk about this. From the U.S. Army Air Corps going into the United States Air Force, into their own branch.
Yeah.
It's been a dangerous, dangerous subject for them for a long time.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, again, we all speculate and we all hope and we all wish and we all know how we'd handle it if, but
that's because we're smart.
True.
We're people smart. We're not government smart.
Yeah, that's right. And yeah, for sure. The only thing that I'd ever, I've thought about this too, is that if finding that there are these beings on Earth and they all of a sudden, ta-da, here we are, I'd be worried about all the whack jobs that have come out of the closet with rifles and guns, because that's what humans do. They destroy. Look what we do to our animals, right? It's like it just anything that isn't human, and we don't even treat humans properly, right? So
that was a nice little rant there.
I know. Thanks.
Means you're getting comfortable on the microphone now.
Sorry, I'll stop doing that, sir.
Oh no, you're not allowed, man. You're not allowed to stop.
That's my rant.
Yep.
Uh-huh.
The Tib 101 right there.
Sorry, folks.
Stop hurting animals.
Yeah, that's right.
On that note, Timmy, thank you, buddy. As we say goodnight to Tim and hello to Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thal. Rocking in the background with Little Brother is watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at work, at home, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone in our chat rooms tonight. YouTube, Twitch, LDAP, Facebook, Spreaker, LinkedIn, Space Travelers Club, catch your breath, and hashtag Spaced Out Radio on X. Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us, because together, my friends,
we're watching.
We own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Yes, the Woo train has docked for the night. But soon, my friends, we shall ride again. The sheets are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, we got room for them too. Good night, everybody. You know where I learned the microphone toss from? I never did it.
No.
Up until recently, when I was watching reruns of WKRP and Dr. Johnny Fever doing it all the time.
Yep.
I'm like, Dr. Johnny Fever's badass.
I used to love that show.
Why would I not be doing that?
Yeah.
I need to be doing that.
Yeah.
It's Dr. Johnny Fever, man.
Absolutely.
You know? How do you not do that to Dr. Johnny Fever? Right?
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, managed to make it through, buddy.
Oh, I apologize tonight for the coughing, guys. Sure, my radio stations are going to love it. Frig.
Yeah. Well, you can't give them perfect all the time. You got to give it a little
I
slap.
have no choice in radio, man.
Yeah.
It's either perfect or it's terrible.
Well, yeah.
Sometimes you can be perfectly terrible. Yep.
You's tired, buddy.
I totally am tired.
And you know what? I did that whole thing without doing the accent. Right?
That's a real dick move. Oh,
I do it in all seriousness. I do it unconsciously.
I know, but we're still on the air.
Yeah. Oh no, for sure.
And I know you're a grape ape kind of guy. I loved grape ape.
Grape ape.
Grape ape. That's all he could say.
Oh, no. Okie dokie, biggly biggly. See, we're aging ourselves.
Banana splits were the best. Saturday morning cartoons. Like I have tried so many times with my kids over the years to watch Saturday morning cartoons. It's nothing.
No.
Why would you take away that portion of your growth?
Yeah. Well, again, there's the Bugs Bunny and the old stuff like the stuff that we used to watch when we were kids. And they cleaned it up and they've taken in, basically taken them mostly off the air. But, I didn't see any of us running around trying to hit each other over the head with anvils. And I mean, I'm stating the obvious, and I'm sure everybody's talked about it before. But yeah, you're right. It's kind of, yeah.
Come on. You didn't want to buy anything from Acme?
There was an Acme back in the day in New Westminster, British Columbia, Canada, for everybody else that's not around. There was an Acme store, and I went in there, and it was, I was probably about 7, and they had everything. It was just this one store in New West, and they had everything. They even had top hats, and my grandmother bought me a black top hat. Walked around with that top hat. Oh, I was a little Slash before Slash was even born.
That's actually pretty badass.
Yeah.
You never go wrong with doing that.
Nope. No. My mom was very angry about it. Why do you have that hat? Well, because Granny bought it for me.
What's the stupidest thing your mom got angry for you at growing up?
The stupidest?
Stupidest thing.
Her being... Wow, Jesus, God, now you got me on a spot. There's quite a few things. Oh, okay, we'll just make it funny. My grandmother used to take my brother and I up to the cabin up here. We had a cabin up at Green Lake when we were kids. So my grandmother would take us up. My grandfather would meet us a couple days later, and the family kind of would roll up throughout the week. So Pat would buy a bunch of groceries, and, so when my grandmother came to pick us up, she'd be loading the car up and giving her some extra food and stuff. So my mom bought us for breakfast Count Chocula, and we never had any of that crap, right? It was always, cornflakes or porridge or, but it was a special occasion.
Hated cornflakes.
Yeah, me too. So I remember standing there at the back of the car and my mom loading groceries, and my grandmother pulled this box of cereal out, and she, I've never seen this or whatever. My mom goes, yeah, she says, that's whatever, Count Chocula. And she goes, and don't let them make a meal out of it. And my grandmother just looked at her and said, well, isn't breakfast a meal? Right? Mom didn't know what to say. And as a little kid, in my head, I'm going, yes, My mom just got burned by my grandmother. But yeah, she's done did a lot of stupid things, but that's kind of a lighthearted, funny one.
Hi, Drew Banky. Hi, Dry Toast, the best name on YouTube.
Dry Toast.
Oh, I love that name.
Mm-hmm.
I remember my mother used to give me crap if I accidentally used the special towels in the bathroom.
Totally.
For wiping my hands when I was done washing them. I would get in so much hell for that.
Yep.
I told you not to use the special towels. Or if we'd go into her living room.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, you were Ukrainian, right?
Well, my mom was technically Prussian, which is German.
Yes.
Right? But back in the day, her relatives came to Canada from Prussia.
Oh, I see. It was, I get it. My stepfather, born in the Ukraine, and when we were teenagers, we'd go over to his mom's place, and she was about 4 foot nothing, and always wore the same kind of Mrs. Roper moo.
Oh,
right, but could cook like nobody's business. But when you went into her house, everything was gaudy. And she had this monstrous chandelier that was 10 times too big for the dining room and, that sort of thing. But the front room was my favorite part. There was the couch to sit on and there was the couch to look at. And you don't, honey, you don't sit on, no, don't sit on that couch. No, you sit over here. That's for a look. Oh,
you're dirty. Stay off that couch. Bum, I just got changed.
Right.
Don't care. You're dirty.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So thanks, Mom.
Yeah.
Is that it there? No, that ain't it. Oh, darn it. Undo. Oh, yeah. I remember my mom used to give me hell for taking a bath. We had one bathtub and one shower.
Okay.
So sometimes my legs would hurt. So I would take a bath.
Of course.
And my mom would give me hell for using her bathtub and getting it wet.
Oh, wow.
You can't make this up, man.
Weird.
Oh, yeah.
No, I remember my mom used to flip out. Yeah, she'd get mad. If I was cooking, I was a latchkey kid from I think 11 years old. No, before that. So she taught me how to cook. And then on the phone, I learned how to make shake and bake and stuff. So whatever. In the mornings, I'd sometimes make breakfast. And Mom would say there's eggs and bacon and whatever. Okay, I'll make whatever you want me to make.
Spaced Out Radio with your host, Dave Scott.
And broke the yolk. She'd take it and she'd take it out of the frying pan and throw it into the spoon rest.
Oh, no.
I was like, I'll eat it. Right? I'd eat anything at that point. Being that age, it's like, Jesus. But nope. Or if she broke an egg, out it went.
Really?
I was like, what?
Really?
Yeah, no, don't keep chucking them out.
I remember I used to love cooking.
Mm-hmm. I do.
And baking.
Yeah.
And I would make Insta cakes from Betty Crocker or whatever.
Sure.
But I'm 15 years old. I'd be pretty proud of myself.
Absolutely.
For doing that. And one morning I made my parents breakfast.
Mm-hmm.
But I wasn't the cleanest cook in the house.
Mm-hmm.
And because I wasn't cleaning up after myself. So when I was done with the flour, putting it away, or done with the egg shells after cracking the eggs, putting them away.
Mm-hmm.
Well, my mom absolutely laid into me over that I was a pig and all this kind of stuff.
Wow.
Oh, yeah. And my dad actually defended me on that one.
Yeah.
He saw the gesture for what it was.
Absolutely.
And I never made breakfast for my parents again.
Oh, that's sad, man.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, That's too bad. It's like that commercial. Remember when we were kids and the kid runs through the front door. He goes, "Dad, I got 3 A's." And all you hear from upstairs is, "Did you shut the front door?" It was just a commercial I remember as a kid because that was my mom, right? And whatever. And get into psychology and all that. But yeah, that was just my mom's attitude. And it just, it used to drive me nuts. Didn't matter what you did, you made supper, you cleaned the kitchen, you did the dishes, you put everything away. Oh, but I put the salad forks in with the regular forks, or you know what I mean. But yeah, she never really wanted me to. Always deterred me from Bigfoot, Sasquatch, all the stuff that I really wanted to do as a kid. And it was weird because she had very, very, very intuitive. Like a friend of mine passed away up here on Mahood and drowned in 1997, and they couldn't find him. My mom told his mom where he'd be, and they went up there and they found him exactly where my mom said he'd be. And it's so weird because she didn't want me to was not impressed with me doing any UFO, reading books on it. Yeah, I've told you that story, but that is probably the weirdest for me. I was like, what's up?
Yeah.
I don't know.
My mom never did that to me.
Yeah.
I still find it funny that she thought I was an alcoholic.
What?
Oh, yeah. My mom thought I was an alcoholic my entire teenage years and into adulthood.
Why? Weren't you throwing the bottles out, or they just hide them under your bed? Or
no, I didn't drink.
That's weird then. Yeah.
But she had it convinced because, the gossip girls, when they get going, and growing up in Abbotsford at that time, gossip was king.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Or queen in this case.
Yep.
And apparently they had a friend who would see me every weekend staggering down the road towards my house.
And it wasn't
on the main drag.
Right.
And I lived in the subdivision, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it never made sense to me because my parents were really strict when I was a kid.
Okay.
And I wasn't allowed to go to house parties or to wander around or
to
be that. So I was always at home.
Yeah.
So I never understood how I was supposed to be drunk somewhere 5 miles away, staggering home when I'm eating my powdered donuts, watching movies.
Yeah.
That's why I don't watch movies today. Is because as a kid, while my friends were going to house parties and meeting girls and everything, my parents had me so locked down that I couldn't go to house parties.
Oh, okay.
And my sisters ruined that for me.
No, perfect, right? Because they're older.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so I would sit at home every weekend and watch movies.
Yeah.
And it got to the point where I was like, when I hit 19, I am never watching a movie again.
Oh.
And so I've probably seen since I was 19, maybe 100 movies, if that.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm not one of these people. Well, let's go to the theater. Let's go to the theater.
I'm not really either.
Or I have to see this. Now, there are certain movies
100%
that I needed to see.
Of course.
Okay. Like if I were to take a recent one, Top Gun 2 or Top Gun Maverick.
Yeah.
Needed to see that.
Right.
And that was nostalgic. I love the nostalgia.
Sure.
Well,
see, my mom did the same thing. I was locked down, basically, because I was going to go out and get into trouble. Even when we were little kids, it was like, we weren't even allowed out after dark. So there was a lot of hanging around the house and doing stuff. But instead of watching movies, I sat in my bedroom downstairs and played guitar for hours. That was my thing. I would sit down and I'd put records on it. I'd go through Van Halen stuff. It didn't matter. I'd learn. And then when I moved up, when she got tired of me, and she said, "You're going to go live with your dad in Whistler." I was like, okay. I got up there and my dad was like, you're old enough to make some decisions on your own. I expect X, Y, and Z from you. I expect you to, he says, go live your life and have fun. I was like, I didn't know what to do. Right. Hanging out up at Lost Lake or going to big parties down at the lake. And Dad would go, if there's an issue, call, I'll come pick you up. If you're driving, you're staying overnight. I was like, oh my gosh. And I never took advantage of it. Right. It was like, no, I couldn't do it because he gave me that trust that my mom would never have given to me. I was like, oh, I'm not burning this bridge.
I remember my buddy came down. We were 17 years old. My parents took us to Disneyland, me and my buddy.
Cool.
We rented a motorhome and we we had a curfew of 11 o'clock. We were staying at the Disneyland RV park.
Okay. Yeah.
And we had a curfew of 11 o'clock. And all day we had met these two girls from Phoenix. Later became longtime pen pals.
Cool.
It was pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. And we met these girls. We were hanging out with them and their parents.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden we look at the clock. It's 11:15. And then, so we're racing back. We got to go, got their phone numbers, got their addresses. Okay. We're going to do the pen pal thing. Cause that's what you did back then. There was no email.
That's right.
And as we're walking down the main drag to the RV park, here's my dad coming this way. And
On foot?
Oh yeah.
Oh.
And he's doing the I'm mad walk.
Mm-hmm.
And he grabs a hold of my friend and me both by the necks and twists our shirt. Where the fuck are you been?
Oh no.
You said 11 o'clock. We're in the middle of California where bad things happen. And then there was just a shooting up the street, blowing it all out of proportion. He goes, I want the truth and I want it now. Why are you guys late? Why did you break my rule?
Tell him the straight.
Dad, we were with some girls.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. And I think that was his moment that he realized his son was becoming a man.
Yeah. Sure.
And he's like, oh, well, we're just worried. Like literally, let's go with the shirts immediately after choking us. Well, we were just worried. And, I'm glad you were safe with other people. And were they cute? Oh, Dad.
So
Arizona blondes.
Oh. So how did he diffuse your mom? Or did you just stay out of it?
We get back to the hotel, and now Mom's gonna.
Yeah.
Now Mom has to have her shot at us,
Pound
right?
of flesh.
And oh, Phyllis, calm down. They were just with some girls and lost track of time. It's all good. It's all good. Yeah, that was Dad's moment. Like he went from he was literally the Antichrist coming after us to Jesus in 2 seconds. I forgive you, son.
Why I oughta. Hey, all right. Yeah.
I thought that was a funny time. I really did.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm. So I just thought it was fun.
Yeah. I got Robbie G's on.
Big sweet Robbie G right there.
Did he get his 500?
I don't know. If you haven't subscribed to Sweet Robbie G's YouTube channel, The Social Dig, he's trying to get to 500 subscribers. Sweets, put your link up if you don't mind. All right, everybody, we're going to call it the night here. Thank you to T-Bone ×3. Nice hat trick, T-Bone. Thank you. Deidre and W. Decker Area 53 for the super chat. Greatly appreciate your love and support, everybody. And tomorrow night on the show, Jim Quirk is going to be here.
What?
We're talking ET encounters with him.
Cool.
That'll be a lot of fun. And the best part, all of you will be here as well. Thank you for a great night. Sorry, my throat was sore. I'm going to bed. Have a good night, everybody.
Stay healthy, my friend.
You too.
If you need bail money, give me a call.
Always, Dad. Take care.
You too.